What I love most about culinary culture is that the art of cooking knows no boundaries or discrimination. Some of the world's most important chefs come from vastly different backgrounds, many shaped by hardship and adversity. The kitchen is one of those rare spaces where misfits can stand shoulder to shoulder with classically trained silver spoon chefs and be judged solely by their skill, their passion, and their dedication. My guest today is a living embodiment of that truth. Raised and navigating through a confused, troubled adolescence, he was once told he'd never amount to anything. But through grit, resilience, and unwavering determination, he rose to become one of the most accomplished chefs New Jersey has to offer, earning every bit of success from the ground up. His story is nothing short of remarkable, a journey defined by love, passion, selflessness, hard work, and hard-earned wisdom. He's not only overcome personal struggles, but he's also shaped the future of the culinary world, mentoring chefs who've gone on themselves to achieve greatness. In fact, two of his proteges have previously appeared on this very podcast, both singing his praises and crediting him as a pivotal force in their careers and their lives. When we sat down, he took me on a roller coaster ride through his life. I was struck not only by the chef, but the man, his depth, his fire, and his humanity. By the end of our conversation, I felt like I've known him my whole life. It's almost unbelievable that our paths are not only now crossing, but we were able to share this moment together. So please welcome the incredibly talented Chef Michael Carrino. Now listening to the Sauce Talk podcast. What up, everybody? It's your boy Al Siggity Sauce, and welcome back to the Sauce Talk podcast. Today, I have a very special episode for you all. He was a mentor to two guests on the Sauce Talk podcast, Michael Cosenza and Bill Sanders. And as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the most important chefs the state of New Jersey has to offer. So please welcome my boy, Michael Carrino. What's up, baby?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm great. Glorious.
Thank you so much for coming in. This is something that you and I have mutually been talking about for a while. And I always refer to you as the all-seeing eye. And
yeah, I've heard that.
And, you know, I had two guests that just sung their praises for you so much, so deeply. And I could tell how important you were to them. And what I love the most about you is how selfless you are. And you not only worry about excelling yourself as best as you can, but you uplift everybody around you with you. And that's such a, you know, it's a trait that is not found quite often. So I really had to have you on here, had to find your journey. And I really want to get a sense of not only who you are as a chef, but who you are as a person. Because I know, even though I don't know you well, I know you're going to be one of the most interesting people that I've ever met.
I hope so. Put your seatbelt on. We'll see where this takes us.
So
well, thank you for that.
Before you and I dive into how you became a chef and how that whole thing started, I really would like to get a sense of how you were, your upbringing, and how you grew up. So tell me what it was like for you.
All right. I mean, I'm a pretty simple guy. I grew up in Nutley, New Jersey. My parents are from Jersey City. I'm half Irish and half Italian, so I'm a McWhopper. My father was first generation in this country. My mother is like third and fourth. So my grandparents came from Italy, and then my great-great-grandparents came from Ireland.
Wow.
They grew up in Jersey City. They met in Jersey City, my parents. Moved to Nutley right before I was born. My grandparents on my mother's side lived in Little Falls.
Really?
Yep. They lived right on Main Ave in the apartments over there.
Oh, wow.
And my grandparents from my Italian grandparents lived in Jersey City when I was little, and then they ended up moving to Nutley as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I grew up It was a normal life growing up in Nutley. Nutley's a quiet little town, especially in the 80s and the 90s. It was a great upbringing, my parents ended up getting separated when I was about 13, but, didn't have a huge impact, really. My dad he wasn't around very much anyway. He worked a lot, and he worked for the Postal Service. So kind of had a single mom anyway, regardless. But I was good, man. I was good. I don't, unfortunately, recall a lot. I had a couple different things later in life. Like I had a head trauma where I fractured my skull.
Really? How'd you do that?
I was riding my bike through a park going to play ice hockey, and I slipped on some ice, and the bike went up, and the handlebars hit me in the forehead and knocked me back. And the rock that I slipped on, I fell and cracked my skull on.
Oh, shit.
I was concussed, but I was out cold. And since then, a lot of stuff before that's been really hazy. So it's been hard to kind of pull memories. Yeah. And then later in life, my dad passed, and there was also just a lot of psychological walls built up when I was younger.
Damn.
Based on, I have a lot of, call them learning disabilities. I have Tourette's and ADHD and things I've never used as a crutch in any way, but things that, led into more serious things like bouts of depression and things like that. So there's walls that I was always built up. So breaking those down.
Yeah.
But
like we were talking about before, I mean, Tourette's, OCD. OCD is something that I'm personally familiar with, not only like through me personally, but through family members and stuff like that. And like we were mentioning before, Tourette's, and that's all linked.
Yeah. Tourette's, OCD. I mean, I have probably undiagnosed ADHD. For me, the Tourette's was the tough one when I was really young because I was diagnosed when I was 6. My mom and my grandmother took me to NYU, and I was clinically diagnosed to have Tourette syndrome. And it's not the vocal one where I'm going to sit here and cuss, outlandishly. It's more tics, twitches.
Yeah, like the physical version.
And they're all really focused in my face and my head. And when I was younger, it was my hands. So I had an inability to control for certain things. And from 6 to 17, 18, it progressively got worse. And there were just times where, it's very embarrassing at times. There's in the second grade, I remember it was Thanksgiving time, and there was a closet for coats behind the teacher's desk, and somebody made a gobbling noise, like a turkey. But you can't do that around someone like me.
Really?
Because I mimic it unconsciously. So I'm in that coat closet. I'm like a fucking turkey. And the teacher just put me on trial there in front of everybody.
Tourette's causes mimicking as well.
There's things that will trigger, like my tit. So if you had Tourette's, I can tell immediately from meeting you because I'll pick up on your tick just as fast as you'll pick up on my tick.
Wow.
But there's triggers, right? That'll make me tick. So certain things, certain noises. My son makes this noise. He goes like, now he'll do that knowing that it triggers me.
Oh, because he's busting your balls.
Because he's busting my chops, yeah. So that was one of the things that I didn't know. Again, I'm second grade. You're what? 8 years old? 9 years old, whatever. I didn't know. And it triggered me. And she put me on trial right there in front of the whole class. And I embarrassed the shit out of me. I'll never forgive that woman. So,
fuck that bitch.
So, from that point, I like to tell people like 80% of my energy in a day is suppressing my tics. It's a lot.
It's a lot. But I as soon as you said it, I told you, I kind of have I don't know what it's like, but since I've been around someone that has such severe OCD, and just I know people that have physical tics too and stuff like that. I get it. Like it's it's such a physical and mentally draining thing to deal with, which makes me even more thankful that you're here with a camera blasting you in your face.
Yeah, you'll see it later.
Nah, I'm not going to see nothing, baby.
But yeah, so that was a challenging thing, but it got worse as I got older. I have videos. We would hang out as teenagers, like we'd have like a house party and somebody bring out the camcorder and, harmless stuff. But I go back now and look at those because I still have some of them. And it looks like my head's going to fucking spin right off my body. Oh. Can't control it. So, at that age, it's like, what do you do with all this energy? Because that's what it is. It's just this juggernaut of energy that you don't know what to do with. And your mind, Tourette's is a misfire, right? It's a misfire in the brain. So if you got think of it like Tesla poles. You got two poles shooting electricity back and forth, right? Those are your brain receptors. Except mine goes off the ceiling, off the game, off your head, back over to here. So it's just all over the place. So there's no lineage to that firing. So that's why I can't control the things that I do. Oh, and if I try to, it just takes a lot of energy out of you.
Yeah.
So,
so I was going to ask you before, did the head trauma trigger it? But this was before
no,
that.
I was like 15.
Do you think it made it worse? Or just...
No, didn't make it worse or better. That was just a straight accident. I firmly believe it messed up my mind because there's a lot of things I can't remember.
Wow.
From prior to that. So.
But you're good from that point. It's just prior is a little fuzzy.
Sharp as tech.
Wow, that's beautiful.
And certain things will kind of unlock every now and then.
Yeah.
But not much. So during COVID, for example, my mother was cleaning out her basement. She found all of these VHSs from when I was really little.
The best.
Not really. So I thought like, oh man, there's got to be one of me playing baseball. I could show my son, oh look, I'm 8 years old and I'm playing baseball. And there was, and it was great. And we watched it. And then there was a bunch from when it was Christmas morning. I was like 6, 7. And to watch myself, how wired I am. And just constantly being yelled at by my father. Sit down, shut up, stop, be quiet. Just couldn't control it. I threw them away, threw the tapes away.
Damn.
Yeah. Positive side, unlock those memories. I can remember some of those Christmases now from first person perspective after seeing it. Oh yeah, I remember that happening. But because of the stop, sit down, stop moving, I blocked it all out. So positive, unlocked. Negative, don't want to hear that shit again, in the garbage.
Yeah, it's crazy when you get older and you think back on childhood and like certain moments that you remember as an adult. It didn't make sense what you were doing at the time, but it's funny how we have this natural instinct within us to block out certain things when there's trauma or fright or anything.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Is what it is. I mean, later in life and decades of therapy, I've learned what it really means and what it is. And it's a defense mechanism that your mind goes through to defend yourself from things like depression and anger and hate and spite and all those yummy things that I harbored forever.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say better late than never, but I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, at least
perfectly said. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good that you,
there's an interesting thing about all that is it never goes away.
No.
And there's two ways I feel you can deal with it. You can suppress it or you can address it. And I always suppressed it and made it worse. When I addressed it, it made it better. But it's not gone. And I said this to my therapist once. And she's an 80-year-old Argentinian woman.
Wow.
So I didn't expect her to understand it. And I said, because we were talking about anger and we were talking about hate and rage and all the things that I'm glad that I had for a certain amount of time. But I'm also glad that I'm able to control now. And you remember the first Avengers movie?
I can't say I'm not a big Marvel junkie.
There
I don't even know which one I saw, so I couldn't tell you.
There's a lot of them. There's just this one part where they're standing on this bridge, and they're just getting their asses kicked. And Banner walks up, and Captain America says to him, he goes, now would be a really good time for you to get angry. And he just looks at me, he goes, that's my secret. I'm always angry. And he turns around and he immediately turns into the Hulk.
Wow.
That's how I feel on a daily basis. Except it's there, but now I know how to understand it better. If it wasn't for that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be where I am.
Wow.
I needed that
control.
No, it was that it tickles your adrenal gland. It punches your adrenal gland. So it keeps you moving. It keeps you going. I'm better than, one of my all-time life creeds is, you tell me I can't, I'll show you I will. I wasn't expected to amount to much when I was younger. I didn't have many people that believed in me for anything.
That were in your corner?
No. My mom, yes. I had an algebra teacher, Mr. Toby, Don Toby. Yes. Outside of that, I was told I should be a farmer. I should learn a trade. All this wild shit. Not very encouraging. I said, okay, tell me I can't, I'll show you I can. Fuck you. And for everything. Oh, I can't do that? I'll do it. I can't learn that? I'll learn it. I can't be the best at that? I'll fucking damn well try. I can't open a restaurant? Yes, I can. Boom, 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 boom. And he just push.
There's something so magical and poetic in that, though. Like, I love proving people wrong as well. Yeah. Especially when they just doubt you. Yeah. Overcoming that is such an amazing feeling. It's a rush.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me I can. I'll show you I can.
Tell me I can't. I'll show you I can. I love that. There's one thing I have to ask you. It's kind of a segue off of that, but it's about childhood and stuff. I'm really interested in what interests you had as a kid. Skateboarding. No. I have a strong feeling you were into skateboarding. Yeah. And there's a reason why. I'll bring it up later. I'm not going to say it now. But I have to ask about it. Huh?
Because I'm wearing etnies?
No. No, not that. It's something to do with something else, and I'll explain it later.
Okay, sure. Yeah, huge. Yeah, skateboarding, music. I was a drummer, 2 bands. I was punk rock all the way, hardcore. Purple hair, yellow hair, green hair, blue hair, mohawks, you name it.
Love it.
The huge jeans. Got into inlining when that first came, when that was a thing. Rollerblading.
Dude, I almost bought a pair last week.
I still have mine. I still have both of mine.
What do you got?
I got a pair of hockey inlines because I play hockey. And then I had the original rollerblade streets, the originals. And, rails and all that shit. We used to sketch on the buses up and down Franklin Avenue in Nutley. Wow. We would make our own skate gloves. We'd take winter gloves, cut the fingers off, wrap them in duct tape so that we had, the palm protection.
I hate inline haters. Fuck you. All my skateboard friends, Dave Dowd, fuck you. Every time I post something, he hates on it, bro.
I used to rollerblade to school with my skateboard in my backpack.
Dude, I love that shit, man.
So I was into that. Hockey. I was really big into roller hockey. I played for the New Jersey Rock and Rollers.
Did you?
When I was 18. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the inaugural season. I played for their junior team.
No shit.
Yeah. I was a goalie. And my mentor was Manon Rayum.
Who's Manon Rayum?
Manon Rayum is the only female NHL hockey player. She was a goalie for the Lightning. She played 1 game, maybe more than 1, but.
And that was I was your coach?
She was my mentor, yeah, because I was the goalie. Yep. And then baseball. Baseball was life.
You're a baseball guy,
From the age of 3 until all the way till senior in high school.
Wow.
Baseball was life.
That's a sport that I personally despise. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the talent it takes to be a baseball player. It's just something that I'm not really into. But who the fuck, nobody walking down the street could throw a ball 100 miles an hour.
Or hit it.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. It's just not my dad loves the Yankees, like hardcore.
Oh yeah, big Yankee fan.
My one boy's friends with Mariano. It's not a big thing for me. Mm-hmm. I just always liked Don Mattingly for some reason. I think because my cousin Ronnie loved him.
The hitman, Donnie Baseball.
Don Mattingly savage.
And Jose Canseco. Those are my 2 guys.
Jose, shout out.
Love Jose Canseco.
I don't care about the juice
Neither do I.
stuff. He still takes a savage to be able to hit the ball.
Yeah, he's great.
That's it.
Baseball was life. Baseball teaches so many life lessons outside of the sport.
Really?
Absolutely. Whether it's team, unity, intelligence, attention. I was a catcher.
Oof.
Catchers are
My father was. That's hard.
Catchers are my son is too. Catchers are, so is my daughter actually in softball. Catchers are the unofficial captains. And I said to my son a long time ago, I said, which way does the catcher face? And he goes, that way. I said, which way do the other 8 guys face? He goes, this way. I said, you see everything. You're calling the plays. You're the quarterback. May not be the captain officially, but you're the captain.
Interesting.
You run the plays. So it teaches you leadership, teaches you a lot. There's a lot of life lessons in baseball outside of the sport itself.
And one thing from my observation as the catcher, right, it really helps to have a knowledge of the team that you're playing. And what I mean by that is specifically the people and how they hit and what shots they hit best. Because as the catcher, if I'm not mistaken, you're the one giving the signal to the pitcher to do the kind of shot you want to be thrown to you. Yeah. So if you know he's not good at curveballs, you're going to tell him to throw curveballs.
I mean, a lot has changed nowadays. There's a lot with the earpieces and
is that right?
Feeding the signals and things, But yeah, you want to go back to the 80s and anything before, I don't know when those were introduced, but let's just say anything before 2010. Yeah, you're calling it. You're calling where, when, up, down, in.
Wow.
You're doing the whole thing. So there's a lot of, there's strategy involved.
Yeah,
that's why I like chess. Chess over checkers. Checkers is, boom, boom, boom. Chess is your strategy. You have to think 5 moves ahead. You have to get inside the other person's head. You have to understand. Same thing with a batter. If you're a pitcher or a catcher, you got to understand what he's looking for. What did I throw him last time? Greg Maddux is a perfect example. They called him the professor for a reason. The guy was so strategically beyond anyone else. He called his own pitches.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just watched something the other day, and it was, he would call his own pitches by the way he retrieved the ball from the catcher on the previous pitch, whether it was out or in, or if he picked his nose or whatever it was that he did to the catcher to inform the catcher on what was coming. Didn't matter what the catcher did.
Wow.
But he was amazing.
That's somebody that's real dialed in.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he's like a 6-time Cy Young Award winner.
Really? I wouldn't know, like I said, because
but it was all about knowledge there. He didn't throw 100 miles an hour. I don't think he broke 94. It was all about painting the corners, placement, the movement. Baseball is, I know it can get boring at times, but there's just so much relativity to baseball as there is to life, the way that it is. So that's why I appreciated it so much. And I still love the game. I love watching my son and my daughter play.
Wow.
I love watching their journey and their growth, regardless if they're catchers or not. But
yeah, I
love watching it because it does teach lessons. It does teach lessons of friendship, and everything that's relative to growing, in adolescence.
Totally. One thing that I found interesting in my research on you is that, if I'm not mistaken, you come from a household, ironically to your career now, you came from a household that, cooking wasn't necessarily the epicenter. Your mom cooked. She was more of one of those regular mommy, sustainable cooks. Fed you, nourished the family, but it wasn't like her expertise. No offense to her, just that's what from my understanding. Correct?
Correct. None at all. And she's heard me say it, and she's gotten a lot better, I will say. Like, her meals are pretty spectacular now.
Oh, good. After you brought her through the...
Yeah, it's a wonder where I came from. I like to say that, dinner was the only variation from the chicken breast was whether it was cream of chicken or cream of mushroom soup thrown in a casserole. That was dinner. I was a little shit when I was a kid too. I hated rigatoni. I thought it tasted like vomit.
Really?
I thought all pasta tasted differently. Yeah, I was fucked up. Like, I was such a ignorant fucking kid. I wouldn't eat rigatoni. My father, when I was really little, would get so pissed. I want spaghetti. It's the same thing. I was like, that tastes like puke. I just remember saying that once and just, no, never again.
I kind of agree with you. It doesn't taste the same, kind of. It's weird. It does, like if you use the same marinara, right?
Yeah.
I really do think that like a spaghetti does taste different than a penne, even though you could use the same amount of dough, whatever. It's just cut differently. I do think it does evoke. So I'm going to kind of agree with you when your younger self.
I definitely took it to an extremity, to an extremity.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a great eater either. Like I don't have that romantic story of tugging on the apron strings of my Italian grandmother as she's making lasagna. I don't have that. My fondest memories of food when I was really little were, chicken cutlets, green beans, and corn. Canned green beans and canned corn.
Hey.
But, if chefs like to play the death meal game, right? What's your death row meal? That's my death row meal. I don't want foie gras. I don't want truffles and shit. I want chicken cutlets, corn, string beans, with garlic.
What's comfortable to you? What's reminiscent of your nostalgic childhood?
That's what's going to put me at ease. I'm not a complicated person. I may do complicated things, but I'm really not that complicated.
At your core, yeah.
Yeah.
So since you didn't come from a household, right, that was heavily, cooking centric, if you will.
Right.
I'd really love to know, where was your first experience in the cooking space? And if you could recall a defining moment that was your realization personally that this is something not only that I really love, but I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Other than that last part about the rest of my life thing, there's three. And they're very, to me, iconic. One is I was maybe 12 and we went out to dinner for a holiday. I don't remember what the holiday was. And I ordered lobster. And I only ordered it because I knew it would piss my father off because it was so expensive. And I ordered it and he didn't hear me order it. And then it came and then he got mad. And my mother just said, you better eat that. And I didn't know what I ordered. I just knew that it was like $45. This is the most expensive thing. Okay, Mama. And then I ate it. And I was like, holy shit, that's good. And I'm like, what is this that I'm eating? And all of these things are happening in my head. What is this that I'm eating? I've never heard of this before. Like, we didn't have lobster growing up. We had steak maybe once a month. We didn't have a lot of money, So it was pasta and it was chicken all the time. And that really sparked my interest in, well, maybe I should eat more things.
Wow.
So I remember it. It was just a lobster tail, broiled lobster tail with butter. And I was just like, wow, that's fucking good. And then another one is, you ever hear of a guy named Jan Martin? Jan Can Cook. It was a TV show.
No, I can't say I wish I did, but I can't say I do.
There was a cooking show in the 80s before cooking shows were a thing. Right. So there was maybe like 5. There was Julia Child.
The best.
Jacques Pepin. And there was the Frugal Gourmet. Right. And then there was this guy, Jan Martin. He was a Chinese immigrant chef. And he was fast and he was loud and he used a cleaver and he banged the cleaver a lot. And he had a really interesting accent to a 12-year-old at the time, or an 11-year-old. My grandfather, my mother's father, my maternal grandfather, would babysit my sister and I. And he would watch all these cooking shows. He was a cook in the Army. And he was always interested in cooking. And he would watch these shows and I would watch them with him. So my first experience with cooking was I learned really quick the difference between a wok and a frying pan when I lit my stove on fire.
Oh, shit.
Because I was mimicking this guy, Yan. And I tried to make something stir fry in a saute pan.
Well, that's what you saw.
And I set the stove on fire. But I'm just like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this guy is so cool. He deboned a chicken in 8 seconds. Like, this guy's amazing.
Wow.
So that was really interesting to me. And then the last one, which is more to answer your last question, was my first real job in a kitchen. I was 16 years old. I worked at a place called Joey's Pizzeria in Belleville.
Joey's
Pizzeria on Geralman. Joe Barrett and Joe Corio.
Wow.
I was 16. I got hired as a dishwasher. I was there for a few weeks, maybe a month. And I'd never seen such organized chaos as what went on in that kitchen. The vulgarities and just the movements and the amount of food that was just being pumped out. This wasn't 5-star stuff. It wasn't Michelin. This was just pizzeria style food.
Yeah.
And I went over to Joe Barrett and I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, what, are you quitting? I said, no, I want to do that. And I pointed at that band of misfits and fucking miscreants that were cooking. And he's like, okay. Conveniently, the salad guy had either quit or gotten fired or died or who the fuck knows with that group. So he puts me over. I'm 16, making sandwiches and salads, cold stuff. I'm so excited. I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. I mean, all these like criminals around me and misunderstood people. I'm in a room with a group of guys who are obviously misunderstood. I found my home.
Wow.
I found acceptance, right? I was never really accepted on my baseball teams because I was different. When I was in high school, they fucking threatened to hold me down and shave my head because I had a mohawk. We were playing Behringer and a pass ball. Mask came off, helmet came off, record scratched, everybody staring at me. Whole team in the locker room, pinned me down. Yeah. It wasn't for one guy on the team who liked me, who happened to be the best kid on the team, got me out of that. But I finally found a place where obscurity can be accepted.
Damn, you found home.
Found home.
Wow.
And I never looked back. And I turned out to be pretty fucking good at it.
You're making me fucking emotional, man. That's really beautiful.
And that started the 3-decade journey.
Wow.
That I'm on now, because that was August of whatever fucking year, but I was 16 years old. It'll be more than 3 decades. I'll be 47 this August. So yeah, I was a senior in high school. Maybe I was 17. I don't know. It's been 30 years now.
Wow.
But what was that really horrible, really, 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 it was 96, right? So it was 95.
What, you mean the snowstorm?
Yeah.
Oh, 96,
I worked that night.
bro. It was insane. Did you?
I worked that night. I was doing deliveries with a guy in a Jeep in Newark. The snow was up to the door panel.
It was insane.
I had
3 feet. It was crazy.
I remember I was at work that whole night. So yeah, August 95 is when I started. And that was when, so 30 years in August. That's when I started this whole journey.
Wow.
Yeah. 30 years in August.
That's fucking insane.
And it's been nothing but craziness from then till now.
So that was your first place you worked at.
Yeah.
I know that you went and you graduated from the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America.
That was much later.
It was in Hyde Park or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So take me through that journey between your initial, job at this place doing salads and cold stuff, all the way up until that point, because that's important to me. Because to take that leap, to take that step, to want to, I want to professionally learn this shit.
Yeah.
What was that journey like between them? Where else did you work at?
So I was a senior when I worked at Joey's, and I was not a good student. I barely got through high school.
Likewise.
So CIA was the best. Okay, it was the #1 culinary school in the world. Still up there, but in 1996, that was it. That's where you fucking go. The best chefs in the world. The best chef in the world, Paul Bocuse, sent his son there rather than any school in France.
Really?
Really. That's where I want to go. Well, you're fucking retarded. So you can't. So I went to Bergen Community College, and I enrolled in their hospitality program, and I spent 3 years there. I dropped every mainline class, algebra, 6 times, dropped it. Kept psychology and abnormal psychology. I took those. So I went through those and wanted that from.
Well, because they helped you personally, right?
Helped me understand people.
Circuitry, mental circuitry.
Understand. I remember the first day of abnormal psychology. I sat in there and the professor said, we're going to go around the room. I want everyone to tell me why you're here. And it came to me and I said, I want to know what's wrong with me. And he laughed. He thought I was a joke. And I'm like, I'm dead fucking serious.
Wow.
And it was helpful. It was helpful to understand things. So in that time, I worked at another shitty pizzeria. And then I met the guy who taught me how to taste. His name was Carmine Monteforte. He was an immigrant from Naples. He had this little Italian restaurant pizzeria in Nutley. It's called Marino's. It was on Franklin Avenue. It was next to Plaza Bouderie, which is now a Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
It's the cigar vault.
Yeah, I know what
now.
you're talking about.
You know Cigar Vault in Nutley?
Yeah.
It's that building.
Wow.
Okay. So I went in there and I started working with him. And he was a son of a bitch. He was a son of a bitch. He was young. He was about 36 at the time. He'd been in this country for a few years, 5 years maybe. He was an asshole. But he can fucking cook. And I walked in there just to get a job. I didn't walk in there knowing I was going to get a life lesson, particularly what he taught me. And he has no idea what he did. He taught me how to taste. He taught me how to understand flavors. He taught me how to understand building flavors. He didn't give me lessons. He gave me instruction. He gave me demands. I learned by default. He wasn't trying to teach me to be better. He was trying to teach me to get his food out, to get money in his register.
Yeah.
So by default, he taught me these things. And what I mean by that is we would make white sauce, brown sauce, tomato sauce, all the egg sauce. I get to CIA years later. We learned mother sauces. I'm like, I know how to fucking make this. That's white sauce. That's bechamel. That's velouté. That's brown sauce. That's espagnole. That's demi-glace. That's egg sauce. That's hollandaise.
You just refined and fine-tuned your knowledge you
I already
had.
knew it. He taught me without,
Wow.
He didn't know what he knew. He knew it was white sauce. You could make white sauce over here, which was bechamel, which had cheese in it for him, which is Mornay in French. And over here, he made a white sauce that didn't have cheese in it, and that was velouté.
Wow.
So he didn't know what he was doing, but he knew what he was doing. If that makes sense.
No, it totally does. He was more of those old school cooks that went off feeling, taste, just time, really, of making it.
Yeah, whoever or wherever he learned to cook taught him the right way. He may not have had the mental capacity to understand what it was he was doing, but he knew how to do it.
He had the experience.
And I absorbed that. Not only that, but also pizza. He made me understand how fermentation worked before I knew what fermentation was.
Really?
And not that he walked me through the steps of fermentation. He probably couldn't even say the word fermentation. But he showed me how the dough rises and gets the bubbles. It was amazing, the things that I didn't realize I was learning, but I was just absorbing.
Until you went to school.
Until I went to culinary school.
And that helped.
Yeah, because I'm what first year culinary student presents perfect sauces every time? Doesn't happen. How did you do that? How do you do that? Well, I fucking did it 1,000 times, before I got here. I was with this guy for 2 years. He fired me.
That's so crazy.
He fired me 6 times. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, why? Why did he
He's
fire
an
you?
asshole. Because he didn't like something I did or something I said. I'd be okay, bro. Yeah, all right. And I just keep working. He never threw me out. He would just tell me I'm fired, and then I would continue to work, and then he would pay me, and I would go home, and I would come back and the same thing. One of the funniest things about him is the way he said the word Friday.
Friday?
No, Friday day.
Oh, Friday day.
Friday day.
He had the extra id.
Always the extra D in there. And Mike, yeah, it's a Friday day. It's going to be very busy. You go, Okay, Carmine. How many? By the way, hey, Carmine. Yes. How many D's are in that? The fuck are you?
There's nothing better than Italians speaking the English language. Holy shit.
He had a pretty good grasp. It was Friday day. So for years, I would just bring it. The interesting post story to the whole thing is I have Pig and Prince. 2 decades later, I'm in Restaurant Depot. I need to pick something up. And I hear this voice. I shit you not. I hear Friday day. And I'm like, no fucking way. I go around the corner and there he is. And I'm staring down the aisle at the guy. Now he's got a big beer belly. He's thin as a rail with a it looks like he's smuggling a basketball.
Oh my God.
And I'm like staring at him. And I knew it was him because he also had his best friend was like only 4'2". And that guy, and I recognize him too. And I walk down the aisle and I walk over there and I'm like, Carm? And he turns and he looks at me and I kind of think he knew who I was. I'm like, it's Mike Carrino. And he goes, oh, how you doing? I'm like, good. I'm like, how are you? Good. Just I'm like, how are the boys? Because, boys are now out of college. They're adults. They probably have to. It's like, good.
That's it. That's just the good.
The one words. And I'm just like, you know what? And I said,
stubborn Italians.
But you know what it is? I said to him, I said, hey, listen, thank you. And he goes, what? I said, thank you. He goes, for what? I said, for everything that you don't know you've ever done. And I just left him. I walked away. I left him perplexed. But I needed it. I needed that. I needed to thank him. And I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity because I never thought I'd ever see the guy again. And I haven't seen him since.
You were able to have that closure.
Closure, I wanted him to know. Whether it meant anything to him or not. I did the same thing with Joe Barrett when I opened Passionné, my first restaurant. I was 26. I drove over there and I walked in and I asked for him and he happened to be in the back. He came out and he's like, hey. I said, you remember me? He goes, yeah. He goes, Mohawk. I said, that's right. And I said to him, I was like, thank you. He's like, for what? I said, for giving me an opportunity nobody else would. I said, I just want you to know I open a restaurant in Montclair. I want you to come by anytime. He never did, but
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But as long as you extended that olive branch.
Yeah. These guys didn't know what they were doing for me. They were trying to run a business. They were trying to scratch out a couple bucks, But they were monumental in what was to come to me.
Yeah.
The opportunity that Joey gave me and the indirect opportunity and knowledge that Carmine gave me really helped to lead the path.
And mold who you are today.
To start it. Yeah. To ignite it.
Snowball.
Yeah. To ignite it. Lit the fuse. Joey's lit the fuse. Carmine's packed in the gunpowder. And then everything after that really just made it pop.
Beautiful. That makes sense. Looking back on your time at CIA, in your personal opinion, what was the most valuable thing that you learned from your time there that you could take away from that experience?
Discipline. They don't teach you how to cook. That's CIA. They teach you how to look. They teach you how to act. They teach you how to fall in line. They teach you how to keep your head down and your ears open, mouth closed.
Huh.
It's militant. It's one of the hardest things I've done. Then, I don't know what it's like now. It's definitely gotten...
Definitely softer. 100% soft now, like wet kittens.
The president of the university, when I was there, was a certified master chef, which there's not that many of those in the world. I don't know the exact number. You can Google it, but I'm going to say it's under 60.
Wow.
The certified master chef test takes years and years and years to get to, and then you can only take it twice in a lifetime. You're only allowed to take it twice in a lifetime. Chef Metz took it and got a perfect score. The only perfect score in history. They thought it was rigged because it's only given in 2 places as well. It's given at CIA in Hyde Park and in France. They thought it was rigged. because he took it at CIA. So they sent him to France, and he took it a second time. He got a perfect score.
What consists, if you could quickly, briefly talk on it, what consists of this test? How do they test you?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but they test you on all culinary hospitality knowledge. So it's from menu writing to costing to food production to precision on knife cuts to sauces. It's a long thing. So
it's an extensive test.
I think it's 4 days.
Wow, imagine
3 or
that.
4 days, yeah. So there were only 2 or 3 chefs that were able to take it in my time there, and only one of them passed it. Chef Griffith passed it when I was there. Chef Arnone failed it, and then another chef failed it. But Chef Metz was the only one who took it twice, got a perfect score twice.
Wow.
And he was the president when I was there. So that says something for what the curriculum and the student body was like.
Yeah, it speaks volumes for the time that you were there.
They teach you how to be subordinate. And you're a piece of shit. Shut the fuck up. Just do your work. And then it goes that program is in 3-week blocks. So you take one class for 3 weeks, and then you go to the next. So it's every single day, 8 to 10 hours a day, one class. And then when you get to the last block, you are God's gift to the culinary world. You are going to go out and you are going to be a chef and you're going to be great things. And that's where they inflate you and blow you up and send you out. And that's why I never hire CIA graduates, because they're fucking arrogant.
Wow. Now that makes perfect sense.
And they can't back it up.
That makes perfect sense.
I think over my course of the years, I've only maybe hired 1 or 2. And it's just, that was solely based on character. I couldn't give a shit what was on paper. It was straight up on character. I mean, my interview process is very different. I ask you questions that are not, I'll ask you what your, favorite music is. And that holds a great stock with me.
And you know what? I really commend you for that. And that makes, it really dictates who you are and how you carry out everything. Because you don't want to hire somebody just for their skills in the kitchen.
No.
You're hiring them for more than that. Mm-hmm. How they deal with people, how they work in comfortable environments or uncomfortable environments.
I want to know what sports you like. I want to know who you like. Will was right. That was a question on my application. I asked you, who's your favorite football team? It didn't mean anything. I was just curious. If you're a Jets fan, okay, yeah, you know what? You're going to get a leg up.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Troy was a Jets fan. Troy was a CIA grad. Troy got hired.
Wow, look at that. Troy.
Troy was a great cook, though.
Wow.
He was a great cook.
That's hilarious.
So, CIA was very difficult when I went, but it was probably 2 of the best years of my life. So much fun. I learned so much. My internship for CIA was monumentally life-changing.
Really?
Because of the people I worked with. So I chose, when you're in CIA, you do, I don't know if it's still like this, it should be. You do an externship. So you go out for 5 months. It's like 20 weeks. And you work. You get paid. It's not like a unpaid internship. And I ended up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, at a place called the Founders Inn and Conference Center. It was a benchmark hospitality property. And I went with a buddy of mine, who was my roommate, actually.
Oh, really?
He applied somewhere and didn't get his first choice. I applied to the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, and because I had a bunch of friends out in art school, I was like, oh, I'll go out to San Francisco and I'll go hang out with my buddies. I didn't get it, and I'm glad I didn't, because what I did get is I met the one and only mentor I ever had in Virginia Beach. And his name was Bob Zappatelli.
Bob Zappatelli. What a name.
Robert Zappatelli. He was a Jersey boy from Jersey City. He was a couple years younger than my father. Ironically, grew up around the corner from him. They didn't know each other.
What are the odds of that?
Crazy. Big man. Larger than life. In every possible way you can imagine.
Wow.
He was like 6'3", pushing 400. Huge man. Bellowing voice. Bellowing presence. An energy like I've never felt before. This man was, it was universal. There's no word large enough to describe the aura around this guy.
Wow.
If you see people in colors the way I do, I'm colorblind, by the way. I don't know if I told you that.
Partially, right?
Partially. But I can see people's auras in color. And if I see, this is the brightest aura I've ever seen in my life. And I wasn't with him the longest, but there was always something about him that I was so drawn to. So he was the executive chef at the hotel. And then there were two other guys there. The executive sous chef, his name was Steve, and the sous chef, his name was Anthony. And I worked that summer with these guys. Big hotel, great hotel, so much fun. Was with my buddy at the beach. Couldn't beat it, right?
Yeah.
But we loved it. We lived in a Section 8. We didn't know what Section 8 meant back then. So back then, when you're looking for an apartment, you go through the apartment guide.
Yeah.
There was no internet. There was no cell phones, right? So we lived in a Section 8. We're the only two white guys in the whole thing. He's from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. He's redder than red.
Super red.
Super red. So we ended up living in this Section 8. Rent was like $600 a month. So we were like, score, dude. We're making $5.25 an hour. Like it was all relative back then.
Yeah.
So that summer, it was the summer of 2000. We got down there in May. We stayed till October. And I met Bob. And it was crazy. It was a wild learning experience. I worked the restaurant. I worked all the stations. I worked the banquets. I learned commissary.
Wow.
And it was the summer that I ultimately learned pastry. There was a pastry chef there. His name was Marcel Walters. He's passed now. He was a certified master pastry chef. He was from Switzerland. He's an amazing guy. When you first meet him, you're like, this guy's an asshole. He talked like this, and he didn't want to talk to you. He was really short, and he wore the toque sideways, like the old.
Shit.
He had the necktie. And I always used to go and peek in the pastry kitchen. What do you want? I want to learn pastry. No. You're a cook. So I would go back to my thing. I'd peek in. What do you want? Get out of here. Okay. So he throws me out one time in the pastry kitchens across from the loading dock, and I'm walking down the loading dock, and there's my executive sous chef Stevie. He's cutting ice carving for the weddings.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, he's cutting this beautiful 2 hearts.
That's an art, man.
Doves.
That's a fucking art,
Right.
dude.
I said, chef, teach me. He's like, okay. So he gives me a piece of paper and a pencil. He goes, go home and draw it. If you can draw it, you can cut it. I go, okay. And he goes, draw all 4 dimensions. I was like, okay. Turn around, walk away. The fuck does that mean? I'm thinking, I'm like, what does that mean? Go home. And my roommate, I'm like, Joe, Stevie says I got to draw 4 dimensions. He's like, I have no idea what that means. I'm going to drink. I said, okay. So we're pounding Miller Lights, and I'm drawing this swan. I'm a pretty good artist, so the drawing looks beautiful. It's great. Folded the paper and drew 4 different sides of it because I didn't know what he was talking about. So I go back the next day, and he's got 2 ice blocks sitting on the loading dock, 2 saws, bunch of chisels. He's like, I got to do one for the wedding. Go ahead. Yours will go on brunch. I was like, oh my God. He goes, let me see your paper. Hand it to him. He crumples it up and throws it away. He goes, go ahead. I was like, he goes, you drew it. You know it. Do it. So I start cutting this thing. Completely out of my element. No idea what I'm doing. I make this awful, mutated looking swan with a little neck, and the wing is like broken, and it's horrible. And mercifully, he did. He put it out on the Sunday brunch buffet. But he's making his, and again, he's doing this gorgeous, it says love, and I go, chef, that's awesome. I'm like, would you say that's what you're the best at? And he looked me right in the eye and he said, would you rather be the best at one thing or really fucking good at everything? And I thought about that for like 2 days. I marched over to that pastry kitchen. I said, I want to learn pastry. No. So I stood in the corner and I watched. then my shift was up. There was time for me to go to work. I was there for like 2, maybe 3 hours. So I left and I went to work. Next day I came in early. Chef, I want to learn pastry. No, you can't learn pastry. I stood in the corner. 3-4 days go by. Same thing. 12 hours. I'm just standing in a corner. Show up to work the last day of the week. Says that to myself. I'm like, we'll give it one more shot. I said, Chef. He just turns his back. I go stand in my corner. He goes, what are you doing? Go make me pastry cream. Go make pastry cream. He goes, go make me a genoise cake. Okay, go. Genoise cake. Pastry kitchens are different. They're scheduled. They do the same thing every day, all the time. I was there the same time every day. He told me later he wanted to make sure I wasn't full of shit. So he let me watch. And if I didn't do what I did, he would have never showed me anything.
You wanted to make sure you were learning while you were watching.
He wanted to make sure I wasn't full of shit. Wow. So that's where I learned pastry. I can do pastries, cakes, chocolates, candies, pull sugar. I can cut ice. I've competed. I can do chocolate sculptures. I can do butter sculptures. I can do all that.
I got goosebumps going all over my body right now.
He was something. Master pastry chef. Master.
I had no idea you could cut ice. I had no idea until right now.
Had all the tools, saws, chisels, whole thing. Competed 3 times. I competed up until when my dad died. I competed the year he passed away, and I did a religious carving. And as I was getting judged, Jesus fell off the crucifix and smashed on the ground. So I gave it up after that. But I can still cut it.
My son would love that story. A little quick sidebar. I'm not really that religious. I grew up Roman Catholic. My wife grew up Christian. Same shit, kind of different traditions. Mm-hmm. And, when we had my son, when we got married, we didn't get married in a church. We did it all with, an officiant or whatever you call it. And, because we kind of have differing opinions on religion and things of that nature. And it's like, I took a lot of value from growing up. Like I'm confirmed and all that stuff. But like, as I got older, I just didn't really resonate with that religious culture. And I have a lot of differing views from the ones that my mother displayed to me and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I can't ask her opinion on what I think about now. But, I take a lot of value from the stuff, but I don't really fully agree with it because there's a lot of corrupt. Whatever, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. The point I'm saying is my son isn't baptized. My son isn't this because we want him to make his own decision when he gets older. We want to show him multiple religions and let him make his own conscious decision when he gets older. If I resonate with this. Anyway, YouTube culture, you and I were talking about kids and the tablets and this and that. And my son has an iPad. Mm-hmm. And, we did a lot of apps on it. He likes YouTube and shit. And he goes around on it. And one day he came across some religious cartoon. Mm-hmm. And my son's very hyper-focused like I am. When he gets his mind on something, he can't fucking let it go. Mm-hmm. And it's so strange because my wife and I aren't religious. And my son wants to draw the crucifixion every day. Every fucking day. So it's funny that you carved that. He would like that story because he draws it every fucking day.
I did it because it was like kind of a tribute to him. I'm also not incredibly religious. I'm very universal. I believe.
Likewise.
I believe the universe in its entirety is linked and everything is linked. And every human, every living thing, every inanimate object is all linked, right? Same thing though, my kids are baptized and whatnot, but my son's going to a Catholic school next year for high school.
Wow.
He's going to Seton Hall Prep. So he's really getting into learning about, at least the Catholic and Christian religions or whatnot. And I'm all for it. One thing that a friend of mine told me once is, I asked him if he was religious and he said, I'm a student of all and a follower of none. And it really resonated because he's a really intelligent guy and he follows all of these different things, or he learns about and understands all these different things, but isn't necessarily a follower or believer in anything. So.
student of all and a follower of none.
Correct.
Wow, that's a bar. It really, truthfully is a bar. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
I like that. I like that quote a lot. Sorry, I'm just pausing because it hit me, you know? Anyway, possibly your biggest culinary moment of your life, at least at the time, was when you opened your first restaurant in 2006, which would be Passionné.
Passionné, yeah.
And you opened it in Montclair, New Jersey.
Yep.
And it was considered, I guess, a fine dining establishment, French-forward cuisine.
Yeah.
And you opened it when you were 26 or 27?
Yep.
Right? Which one? Doesn't matter, right? Same thing.
25, 26. I gotta do the math. 26.
What I'm curious on is you graduate from the CIA.
Correct. 2001.
What goes on? Because you opened this in 2006. Yeah. So what was that 5-year transition like until you opened Passionné? And what was the catalyst that made you want to open your own restaurant? And not only that, to my understanding, you opened this solely by yourself with 0 investors involved, which is almost, especially nowadays, unheard of.
Yeah. So I graduated in May of 2001. Right before 9/11. I was recruited to work as a sous chef in a restaurant in Rockland County in New City, New York. It was a brand new restaurant. At CIA, they have what's called fellows. They're assistants to the chefs, and they help run the class. So they're graduates. They've graduated through the bachelor program, and then they help assist. It's like a student teacher.
Okay.
So the fellow in my fish kitchen, his name was Pete, and Pete got this job offer. And I had befriended Pete in Fish Kitchen, and he recruited me as his sous chef.
Okay.
I wasn't ready in any way.
No.
But I took the job, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do this. Let's do it. So I get there, and I'm hanging drywall. Yeah, I'm hanging drywall. I'm tape spackling. I'm doing to get this fucking restaurant up and running, hooking up equipment.
Wow.
Our opening day was September 11th of 2001.
Wow.
So obviously that didn't happen. That restaurant failed. Not before I got out, but it didn't do well. I was there with him. It was a new American style restaurant. It was a big restaurant. It had 2 floors, a big bar.
Wow.
It was a really advantageous project by a guy who has absolutely no experience as the owner. He was a Nordstrom guy. Had money.
Yeah.
Dad had a lot of money. Owned real estate and shit. Dad owned a diner or something. Owned the building. Didn't own the restaurant. So thought he was a restaurant guy. Whatever. Had trouble right out the gate because of the timing. Right.
Yeah.
I was there for about a year, and they started changing the concepts up because the owner, there was a strip mall that he owned right down the road. And there was an Italian restaurant there. Had been there for like 30 years. And they're very successful. It's Italian food. 30 years. Brand new. American. So he tells the chef that he wants to put chicken parm on the menu. So I blow a gasket. I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm like, I left chicken parm in Nutley. I'm not fucking making chicken parm. I was like, Pete, you put chicken parm on the menu. I'm going to fucking quit. A week later, he's like, listen, Mike. I was like, nope. Pulled the apron string. I'm like, here's my 2 weeks. I'm out. I was like, I'll make your chicken parm for 2 weeks, but I'm out. Then I quit.
Wow.
I headed back down to Virginia Beach to the founders. I wanted to work with Bob. Bob had, by that time, been promoted to the general manager of the hotel, from the chef to general manager. I was there for 3 months, and then he got promoted to corporate director of operations for the company, and he put me on task force, which is a program where they take individuals from our company and they put them in new properties that we acquire. So my sous chef went as the executive chef interim, and I went as the sous chef interim to a new property in Richmond.
Ah, okay.
Still in our company. And that's when I ended up in Richmond, Virginia, at Virginia Crossings Resort. So we took over this hotel, and I worked there, met some really great people who I'm still friends with now, chefs, great guys. I spent a couple of years there, and that's where the Bob story gets even more interesting. So now Bob is a corporate director of operations. He's working out of Woodlands, Texas. This is where the company hub is. And he would go and visit the properties. So we're about a year in, and my chef, Anthony, says, Bob's coming. I don't know when, but make sure everything's on point. So, yeah, no problem. Got it, chef. So go around, tell my other guys, the other sous chef, Frank, listen, Zap's coming. Be on point. Go over, Jared, my banquet chef. Zap's coming. Be on point. And they had met him. They understood. So it was Thursday. It was a weekday. And I'm in the kitchen and I'm talking and I'm doing something. And all of a sudden I stop. And the hair on my neck goes up. The hair on my arms go up. I'm like, Bob's here. And they're like, what? I stopped what I was saying. Bob is here. Jared, get in the cooler. Make sure everything's straight. Frank, go check the line. 5, 10, 15 minutes goes by. Michael. I'm like, yes, chef. Here comes Bob.
What the fuck?
You don't have to see him. I didn't have to hear him. I felt him. And I felt his energy. When he got on the property, not in the building, I felt him come on the property. I told him that and he laughed. This big, bellowy, deep laugh. And he goes, good. and I was blown away. And I said to myself, like, I want that. I want that. I want to be able to have such an energy that people can feel me before I'm even there. That's amazing. I told him that too. So a little while after that, there was an opening. We had a property in Oahu. And I had been there. I had went on a vacation because we got a deal as a company, $89 a night. So I went and I stayed in a hotel on Oahu in the North Shore for $89 a night. It's a $500 a night room. I'm a poor, make $24,000 a year. This was great for me.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with the property. I fell in love with Hawaii. Love Hawaii. So I thought it was a job opening for a chef de cuisine, which is the next step. So I called Bob, who was not my chef. He was my guy, and I was one of his guys by now. Everybody knew. Anthony was Bob's guy, and I'm one of his guys. I said, chef, I really want this job. I want to go to Oahu. He goes, go ahead, I'll put in a good word. This is before Zoom or before any of that. They just had video conferencing. It was a really complicated thing. But I sent him my resume. I sent him my letter. And I did the little video conference thing.
Yeah.
And I got the job.
Really?
And I got the offer. And I went to my chef and I told him. And he blew a gasket. And he thought I was abandoning him. And he had some select words for me. And he didn't understand. He wanted to be Bob. He wanted to be everything like Bob. And when he asked me, I said, I want to be better than Bob. I thought he was going to kill me. So I was his mentor. So I think he thought I was offending him.
He idolized him in a way
Absolutely.
that he took offense to it.
Yeah. So I called Bob. And I was like, Bob, this is what happened. What did you say? I said, I want to be better than you. He goes, that's the right answer. He goes, go to Hawaii. I said, all right. So I call my dad. It was the first one I was going to call. Right? My dad, I was going to call my mom. I called my dad. I was like, dude. I called him dude. By this time, we had this weird, he was more of a friend than dad. So I was like, dude, I got news. He's like, yeah, me too. I go, you first. And the cancer's back.
Oh.
He goes, what's your news? I said, moving home. So I knew there was another job opening in Jersey, in Basking Ridge. Hung up the phone with my dad, called Bob, said, this is what's happened. I need to go to Basking Ridge.
So you changed your decision. If your dad let you go first, this might have been a different story.
No, because he still would have told me.
And you still would have said no matter what.
I was just being courteous on the telephone by letting him tell me first, but I wouldn't have gone.
Because if you don't mind me asking, what kind of cancer did your dad have?
Esophageal and stomach.
The same. My mother had esophageal. Yeah.
So he had already had it, and he had surgery. So this was the second time. So there was something inside that made me know that this was not going to be good. Yeah. So I called Bob. I said, I got to go to Jersey. I said, get me in Basking Ridge. And he goes, all right, I just hired a new chef up there. There's another pivotal person here. He goes, you call up there and talk to Chef Scott Leahy. I said, okay. So I called up and I got him on the phone. He had just started. So I went up to visit and I interviewed with him. And I was interviewing for an executive sous chef position, but he hired me as the sous chef, which is, kind of a lateral move, but I had to get back up. So I went in and Bob, he said, all right, I got a job for you when you get up there. I said, all right. He goes, I need you to clean out some people up there. So I was like his pit bull. Like I would go in and check.
What do you mean by clean out?
Get them fired. Terminate them. So you can't just, you don't just go and fire people. You got to go in there and have reason. So that was my goal. Was he'd give me a list. These 3 out.
That's bizarre. It's so reminiscent of like mafia culture, but in a different way.
Somewhat. At least I didn't get the folder, in the photos, like an assassin.
Yeah.
So I get up there and Scott, who is now a very good friend of mine, also my son's godfather, turned out to be one of the greatest chefs I worked with. Like he was just a great guy. He worked with Waldorf for a long time. Really, he was a 181st paratrooper.
Wow.
Really, really, really energetic guy in the day. I mean, we got really close. Went up, did my job, canned 2 to 3. Got the guy who took the job that I wanted canned. I took his job anyway.
Damn.
He's an asshole.
Fuck him.
And then I came to the third one. There was this kid named Chris, and I'll never forget him. A big kid, And I went up to him one night, and he was working by himself. It's a corporate hotel, so we didn't really have a lot of business on the weekends. And I said to him, he had been threatened to fire a bunch of times, written up a bunch of times. He had a stigma behind him, being lazy and
yeah.
So I'm like, what do you want? He goes, I just want to learn. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, nobody teach me anything. He's like, no, just tell me what to do and nobody wants to teach me. So what do you want? He goes, I want to be better. I said, I want you to be employed a month. So we're going to go from you getting threatened to be fired to being employed a month. That's our goal, right, Chris? Yeah. Okay. So first month goes by, he doesn't get it. So don't get discouraged. I'm like, look what you've done. We're here, we did this, da. Next month, employed a month. I called Bob. I said, why do you want me to fire this kid? I'm like, he's employed a month this month. He goes, I didn't. I said, what? I don't understand. He goes, I didn't. Because I just want to see what you did with him. Huh. All right. It was a test.
This guy, Bob, is something special, huh?
Something else, man.
He's really fucking something else. It's like he knew what you were going to do before you did it.
Yeah, that or he was indirectly trying to teach me something or making me learn something on my own. He was helping me to build a management style that wasn't what I was accustomed to. He knew who I worked for. He knew where I came from. He knew that that wasn't the greatest atmosphere to learn how to treat people. He knew what I was capable of in regards to pushing people to the breaking point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got to add something to this. I think there's a reason why Bob acted the way he did with you.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's in tune mentally in a way that you're also in tune. I was going to ask you something. You were so amazed at the presence that Bob gives off. And you said to me before, I want to strive to have that presence when I walk in a building. But I think the beauty lies in you being able to recognize the energy.
Yeah.
You must be spiritually in tune in a way that the average human being that walks this earth isn't. Have you ever thought about this, or because that's not something that's normal?
Like I said, I believe that everything is connected in this universe, not just this world, this earth. I believe everything is connected in a way. You know, I'm not, you could put labels on things. You know, I don't think that we live once. I'm not saying reincarnation, but I think that we exist, and not only multiple times, but multiple platforms. Like, I believe in, how can I put this? Is gonna sound crazy.
No, to me, I'm seeing something probably different than what the viewers and listeners are going to see. Yeah. I see something greater within you. You have some sort of connection with spirituality, some sort of connection with the universe that the average person doesn't possess.
I'm very empathetic, so I can feel people's emotions. I can feel that kind of stuff. The thing with Bob was very unique to me because, I always say, well, let's take Mike, right? Mikey Cosenza, for example.
The best.
He is, and I've said it before, and I'll always say it. I have never met anyone in my life who is able to immediately read people so well than he is. He is never wrong. He can always pinpoint character, and I wish I had that, you know, that trait. I wish I was able to do that, but he's so good at it. Like, he really is, you know, and I'm not.
I think you're better than you think.
Maybe, but the way he is with that, I am emotionally, but I didn't have to do that with Bob. That was pure, it just emanated. So, you know, whatever it was that he was trying to teach me indirectly worked. Whatever it was that he was trying to guide me towards, where he's the only chef that ever made me cry in a kitchen. And it wasn't because he yelled at me. It's because, and I use this all the time, it's because he wanted me to be better for me, not for him. That's what I say to my guys. I don't want you to be better for me. I want you to be better for you. And the situation was, I was cooking lamb and I overcooked it, and it came back, and he looked at me. He's like, do it again. And I sent it out, and it came back, and he's like, what are you doing? He goes, do it right. He didn't even say a lot of words. I did it a third time. It came back. And that's when he didn't even say anything. He turned and he looked at me, and I just I didn't even put my head down. I put my head up, because I would never put my head down in front of him. I just put my head up and back, and I just remember feeling the tears running down the side of my head because I was so ashamed that I let him down. And then he told me, he's like, I don't want this for me. I want it for you. I want you to be better for you. Don't get upset because I'm upset. Be upset because of what happened. So that's what I then parlay into my people is, I want you to be better for you. Don't give a shit about me. Be better for you. Want more for you. Do better for you. It's all for you. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you get better for you.
Damn. I feel like crying right now. I think I am. Oh my God. Holy shit.
So after a certain amount of time there, we'll jump back into the timeline. Scott he knew that I wasn't really happy there. So he's like, I'm going to send you to go work in New York. I can't teach you anything. Or you don't want to be here anymore. So I want you to go learn from these other guys. So he was in the Hilton organization for a long time because he was with the Waldorf. Yeah. So he sent me to the Millennium Hilton. So I went to the Millennium Hilton, across the street from World Trade Center. It was 2004.
2 years prior to you opening Passionné.
Correct. It was interesting. It was my first forte in New York, my first forte in union atmosphere. I was not union.
It was a union atmosphere.
Local 6.
Really? Local 6?
I was sous chef, so I was management. So I did not fall into the unions, but I had to manage the union.
Oof.
96.
That's tough.
Cooks, porters, runners, 96 people I managed, union guys. Out of those 96, 90% of them were immigrants. So a lot of language barriers, Thai, Egyptian, Chinese, Colombian, Argentinian.
What a fucking fruit salad, dude.
Learned a lot about culture. That was my biggest lesson there. Met some amazing people. I learned how to make so many important cultural dishes. You know, Amiglio was from Mexico, and he taught me how to make real tres leches. He taught me how to make real tinga. Johnny Young was Chinese. He taught me how to make real dumplings. Satit Thanasut was from Thailand, and he was a professional Thai boxer when he was younger.
Really?
And blew me away with just his knowledge of the world. He traveled so much. Taught me how to make real pad thai. Jose Acevedo, who they called Niema.
Niema?
Niema.
What does Niema mean?
Tip of your...
The shroom cap.
Or, what was it? Comasica was the other one.
Comasica.
Comasica means one who eats shit.
Oh, man.
But he taught me all these Dominican dishes. And all the way down the line, Indian Mike. He taught me how to make cauliflower curry. So all these really great cultural experiences I learned there. And I was there for a little while. And then in July of 2005, my dad passed.
Oh, man.
So I didn't like it there. Like, I didn't love going there. I hated New York. I hate New York. I always hated New York.
Likewise, I can't stand that shit.
So, like, my mom used to take me when we were a kid. We'd go to all the museums, very culturally adapt. You know, I've seen, you know, by the time I was 16, I probably saw every Broadway play out there. And I appreciate it. I do. It definitely broadened my cultural horizon. But I hate it. It's too condensed. I don't like crowded spaces. So the train was not for me.
I feel like you're my long lost brother.
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
I used to take transit from Lyndhurst, and then I take the path in, and then God forbid I had to work on a Sunday. I'm all over the fucking place because, you know.
And I work for
I
transit.
know, I was saying, you know,
Yeah.
a lot less trains. So
I fucking hate I'm on every day.
So I stayed there for a little bit, and it was right around October. And I was in a funk, you know. I didn't know how to handle it. He went in and out. He went in and out of hospital quick. He went in the hospital. He died 10 days later.
Jesus.
And it kind of, part of me knew it was coming. The other part of me didn't want to accept it. But the worst part is that I was the next of kin, so I'm the one that had to make the decision to take him off life support.
Yeah.
So it was tough. You know, I was 25 at the time. You know, a little sister, 2 years younger. So I didn't know what this fuck was going on. You know, life got turned upside down. You know, my parents had been divorced and they didn't necessarily get along, so there wasn't any fallback on that. Ironically, my mother happened to be in Ireland on a mission with her sister, like discovering ancestors. So she was on a 3-week trip to Ireland, like finding her ancestors and stuff. So she wasn't even here. It was just me and my sister. So right around October, a few months later, I went in and I was talking to my chef, and he made a comment. He said something to the effect of, "You need to bury the dead." And that didn't sit well. So it was the second time in my life that I pulled the apron string. I said,
Fuck you.
Quit. I walked out. Rolled up my shit. I walked from the Millennium to the Marriott Marquis in Times Square. I walked in my coat. Walked in. The human resources. I said, "I heard you're hiring. I just left the Hilton." So I got an interview for a chef job, as chef de cuisine for the restaurant View. It's the one that rotates on the top.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
And I went in. It was a 2-day interview. I did a written interview. And then I did a verbal interview. I was at 3 days. I did a verbal interview. And I did a cooking demo. And I remember when I did the cooking demo, they just gave me a cart of food. And they said, you can use anything in the walk-ins, but you have to use what's on this cart. So I had never done one of those before. So I took it back, and it was fall. So Thanksgiving was fresh on my mind. So I started cooking things that my mom used to make for Thanksgiving. It has the rack of lamb on there. So I took the bones off and I roasted it. I made a soup. My mom used to make autumn soup. So I made all these things that were just familiar to me.
Comfortable.
And I didn't try to go outside the box. So they thanked me. And they said, we'll be in touch. So at the time, my cousin's husband he's from France. He owned a restaurant in Kenilworth called Le Rendezvous Bistro. Little 20-seat, BYO. Been there a really long time. I called him up. I said, Philippe, can I come and cook fish? I quit my job. I don't know what's going on with this other job. Yeah, if Kels goes in, come down. You come and cook fish. So I went down there and I cooked fish. I was on the fence. I was about to quit cooking altogether. I was talking with a buddy of mine who was a contractor. We were going to flip houses, and I was going to do shit like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to touch it anymore. It was ruined at the time. So I went down and I was cooking fish with my cousin, 3-4 months. And I fell in love with cooking again. It was weird. It's a tiny, cramped little space, Wasn't anything fancy. Very rustic kind of food. But it was real. It was real cooking. And right before Christmas, I got a phone call from the Marriott Marquis, and they offered me the job. And it paid me like $86,000 a year. This is 2005.
That was decent money back then.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
I was 26 at the time. I said I respectfully decline.
Wow.
And I didn't take it. And they were pissed. Thought I wasted their time. And you got to understand, I'm going through some shit, man. I didn't care. I was like, I decline. Flash forward a bunch of years through therapy, it was a subconscious effort for me to understand and my value. So it was a way for me to know that I was worth something. So in January, same buddy who I was going to go into contracting with, his girlfriend got her real estate license. Said there's this restaurant in Montclair you should go look at. It's called Dolce, 77 Walnut Street. So I went in for dinner one night at the time. One of 2 tables in the restaurant. Nobody in there. Called the guy. Said, hey, I'm interested. Can we meet up? Yeah, tomorrow. So I go in, look around. He happened to own a pizzeria in Montclair. That's still there today.
Really?
Mm-hmm. We talked. His dad passed away same month as mine. July of the prior year. We shared stories, shared a tear. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to open a restaurant. He said, 8%. I was like, what? And he held up the key. 8%. He dropped the key in my hand. I said, seriously? He goes, yeah. And that's how Passionné was born.
Wow.
I bought it on 8%. Paid off in 5 years.
That 8% still kind of blows my mind that you got that restaurant off zero down.
Yep.
And that started everything for you.
I'm not saying that I didn't have to put money into it because I did.
Of course.
But, I guess it was the conversation. It was the relating to the situation. But that's what kicked it. That's what started off. And I got the key April 1st, 2025. We opened the doors May 6th.
Wow.
5/6. Yeah, 5/6, 2025. And I just opened the doors. I said, I'm here. My mom came in for dinner. couple of my friends. It was just 3 guys in the kitchen. I had like 2 servers.
Really?
That's how we started.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So passionné,
Passionné.
by definition, means passion, obviously.
Right. Passionate.
Passionate. And if I'm correct, it's of Italian origin.
French.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So I had no idea what the name
I
of the
thought
restaurant
passionné was also the way you say it in Italian.
It is. It's the spelling of it, though. So Passionne accent aigu is French. Passionne, 1 N, is Italian.
So that explains, because I was looking at the name. Looking at the definition. I'm like, this is of Italian origin, but your cuisine was French forward. It kind of confused me. So it's the spelling.
Straight French.
The spelling.
Right.
Now it makes sense to me. Okay.
So I have an inability to name restaurants. So I could put them together, and then at the 11th hour, it's me going, what am I going to call this fucking thing? So with that one, it was my mom. I said, I have no idea what to call this restaurant. I knew that I wanted it to be elegant name, but something that was memorable and something that was easy to remember. So I understand to a degree marketing. So she said, well, you're very passionate about what you do, so why don't you call it Passionné, because she speaks French. And I said, Passionné. I said, how about Restaurant Passionné? She's like, I like it. And that's how Restaurant Passionné was born. So the real name to that restaurant is Restaurant Passionné.
Oh, shit.
And that came from working with my cousin, who he called his restaurant Le Rendezvous. And when he would answer the phone, it would be Le Rendezvous, bonjour. That's how he would answer the phone. So I learned something way back about answering the phone. We never said thank you for calling, or we always said welcome to Passionné, welcome to Restaurant Passionné, because we started with Restaurant Passionné bonjour, and it didn't make sense because we're not French. Nobody there was French. I'm not French. So then we did. When you call Domino's, what is it? What do they say? Thank you for calling Domino's. And you call pizza. Thank you for calling Pizza. Call anywhere. Thank you for calling wherever I'm calling.
Yeah.
Right? What am I thanking you for? I want to welcome you. Welcome to Restaurant Passionné. Welcome to Pig and Prince. That's how we started right out the gate. And Passionné had nuances that I cherry picked. You know, we had a write-up called the Black Napkin Treatment. So we used to, we had white linen, white tablecloths. And we used to have black napkins for women that wore black pants. Because traditionally linens were made of linen, right? And they would have fibers that would get on. So if I had a white linen napkin, it would get all over your black pants. So now our shit was made of polyester, but it was the concept.
I never even thought of that.
So we had black napkins. I got that from Daniel Boulud. I didn't invent it. Giving credit where credit's due. We had black napkins, and when the women would sit down, we would take their napkin and give them a black one. And they would look confused. It would be like, your pants are black. Your skirt is black. So from the moment you walked in the door, we made sure that you knew we were on it. There was no silverware on the table. There was nothing on the table. There was a glass and a napkin. Everything was hand delivered per course. Everything was over the top. It was the true definition of fine dining.
I love that shit. When I go somewhere, I want to feel like, because you think about it, the average American person, they eat at home most of the time. When they go out, they want to be dined. Even if you don't have the money for the fine dining cuisine, you want to be served properly. You want to have these little idiosyncrasies that make you know, oh, these people care about me. That's what it means to me. It's like, I know they care about the consumer, the customer.
I sit on the line of hypocrisy when I say what I'm going to say, because I believe that the romance in dining is gone the way of the dodo for the most part. There are the exceptions, but there are not that many restaurants that are romantic. Not in the emotional, not in the relationship sense, but romanticizing what a time before was. Romanticizing a time of Uber service and welcoming and true definition of the word hospitality. I think it's been bastardized. People say hospitality, but what does that exactly mean? They mean, and I'm shoving drinks down your throat and constantly giving you too much attention. Like, that's what hospitality mean nowadays? Because that's what I'm seeing. It's like, or is it leaving me alone at my chosen, situation to enjoy what it is I'm doing? Ambiance is obviously important, and service is important, but it's a weird balance of things, right? So there we were able to really set the pendulum straight and have it sway with the flow of the service, sway with the flow of the meal. We did tastings there. We did dinners there. We did all sorts of really interesting things for what it was. It was so small. Didn't have a lot of foo-foo shit there. Had basic equipment, made do with it. That was sheer will, sheer grit, to get that restaurant to what it was and what it's remembered. And for me, that's the most satisfying thing. The most unfortunate thing is I didn't appreciate it at the time. I was too in it. I was too focused on perfection, which is a sickness. Nothing was good enough. Ever. Plates would be smashed. Dishes would be thrown away. Names would be called.
I can relate to that, though. I understand it, though. I understand it. It's a sickness, but I understand the sickness.
So nothing was ever. The mission statement for that restaurant was, in the pursuit of perfection, one can merely achieve excellence. That was our mission statement. Wow. That's fucked up. That's what that is.
Yeah, but I could see the beauty in it.
It's taxing.
Yeah.
It's taxing.
I want to highlight something you just said.
Yeah.
That I think might have went over a lot of people's heads, but it resonated with me because I have a highlighted appreciation for this region that you kind of just threw out there. You said, gone with the way of the dodo.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming you're referring to the extinct dodo bird from the Galapagos Islands.
That is it.
And growing up, I didn't pay attention much in school, but I pay attention to the stuff that I was interested in. Mm-hmm. And whenever we went over the Galapagos Islands, the dodo bird, the blue-footed boobies, it always raised my antennas. So the fact that you said that really made me want to give you a hug over the table.
Shows my age.
Gone with the way of the dodo. But that's truthfully, I've said it a couple times tonight. There's a lot of quotables you're throwing out. Yeah. Gone with the way of the dodo is an absolute bar in every sense of the word. So I just wanted to highlight that you said something that resonated with me that might have went over the viewers and listeners' heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Tell you, it's those little pearls I'll drop on you.
No, all that stuff to me, especially, is so important to me. Mm-hmm. It shows that your level of care, your level of attention to detail. But I never went to Passionné, and I really wish I did, because I would have picked up on the shit that you're talking about instantly. You could ask my wife. Now, I'm not the most high class person you'll ever meet, but I definitely pay attention to when the person cares about how their business is represented. Mm-hmm. And I would have picked up on that instantly. Especially the stuff you're describing, I would have known, like, oh my God, like that makes me feel like my money's well spent. That's the thing, is like when you realize the establishment you're in is delivering stuff in a way that's tailored to deliver an experience for you. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, I might be saving up 6 months for this shit. I might not be a rich guy, but I might want to take my wife out for Valentine's Day or her birthday and make her feel special. And I come here and you're going to do that. Oh, they're going to switch the napkin. Oh, they get my money. Take my whole fucking credit card.
We had a cheese gardine. We had a cheese cart when I opened. And I would have had it the whole time, but somebody knocked them down the fucking stairs and it smashed, and they're expensive. Passionné was either 20 years too late or 15 years too early.
Wow.
That's where that landed. That's the way that I look at it. Damn. Because if minus COVID, if that restaurant opened now, it'd be different. If it opened in 85, it'd be way different. Like for it took a while.
Well, everything is timing. The timing is so important across many avenues of any sort of industry, right? Timing is like important.
Patience is important.
That too.
That I did not have for a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until very recently that I came up with another one of little quips is, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
Too many chefs or cooks come out and want to be chefs immediately. And William, one of them, I told him in the beginning, he went through the way that he was and how, vigilant he was in getting it.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Be a comet, not a shooting star.
Be a comet, not a shooting star.
That's what I told one kid. And that one kid word for me was the greatest chef in the world when he was cooking for one person. But he just couldn't get over his own 2 feet.
Couldn't hack it.
And I told him, be a comet, not a shooting star. Come back around. Come back around.
Wow.
But
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Being that this was your first experience owning and operating your own restaurant, could you describe not only what that felt like to have something that was your baby, that was yours, solely yours, but what that learning experience was also like? Because for sure that was a rude awakening for you.
it was expensive. It was an expensive lesson. It was scary, I think in the beginning it was more like, and I remember at the time my sous chef, his name is Adam Rose, who's now a very accomplished chef and had a restaurant called Villalobos in Montclair.
Oh, he married one of my friends, Kate Saley.
Yeah.
Which is now, obviously it's not her last name anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, she's
Adam,
younger than me, but I went to high school with. She's a sweetheart. Shout out Kate Saley.
Yeah, Adam was my opening sous chef.
Wow.
And I remember saying to him, maybe like 6 months in, I'm like, oh, man, we got to stop playing restaurant and start being restaurant. I remember saying that, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we got to stop fucking playing around. Like, we need to really be a restaurant. It was kind of a game in the beginning. It was like, oh, well, what can we do? And we're spending money and like the most intricate things. And it was just, we needed to hone it in and really, the laser vision wasn't quite there. It was more, how can we be in excess? How can we give more foie gras? How can we give more truffles? And how can we give more of this and more luxurious things? And, how can we do more with less? And we needed to hone it back and be like, okay, well, let's look at this from a business standpoint. Because I didn't know anything about business. I never took a business class. I didn't know how taxes worked. I didn't know how bookkeeping worked. I was lucky enough to, have someone that helped guide me through that. It was my cousin's bookkeeper was gracious enough to help guide me through.
Yeah.
But, it was scary. It was fun as hell. It was scary. It was something. But in the same time, that obsession with perfection and all of it didn't help with my mental status. Still coming off fresh. My dad, wasn't helping. It was the suppression. It was burying it. It was.
You were escaping.
I was getting worse. I was becoming.
Really?
I didn't know it, but it was building. And it was getting there. But we had a great run. We did 5.5 years there, and I ended up getting persuaded, we'll say, to go grander, and that's where Lackawanna Plaza came in.
Well, let me stop you there. Before you go grander, one thing that I think is really cool, that while you were owning Passionné in 2009, which is the year that my mom passed, actually, you ended up being featured on Chopped.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 13.
Correct.
Which is probably the last episode, I think, of that season.
Yep.
And you fucking won. And you won with gummy bear wontons.
Yep.
You got to tell me, first of all, how that whole situation happened. And what was it like on the show? Meaning, does it differ greatly from the outside perception instead of when you're actually in it?
So I had a publicist at the time. Great guy. His name's Brian Lowe. He owns a company called BMLPR. But at the time, it was just Brian. He had branched off. So he started his own public relations right when I opened the restaurant. So we were kind of going at it in our own industries, fresh. And we were introduced by a mutual friend. So he helped kick me off certain things I wouldn't have been able to do or want to do, per se.
Yeah.
And he calls me one day. He says, "Hey, listen, there's this new show that they're going to put together called Chopped, and it's like a Top Chef, but it's one day, it's one episode kind of thing, in and out." And I'm like, that sounds cheesy, like, is it? Because Top Chef was just starting to really take off, maybe it was in its third or fourth season. I'm like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "It couldn't hurt." He goes, "If you win, you get 10 grand. I was like, "All right, let's go."
It was the money that
yeah,
drove you.
1,000%. I'd be perfectly honest. I did not think that show was going to work.
And it did.
So he says, "You got to go in for an interview." I'm like, "Into the city in?" He goes, "Yeah, on Friday." I'm like, "Friday? On a Friday, I'm going to leave my restaurant to go into the city." I said, "You got to make it early." 4 o'clock's the best I could do. Fuck. All right. We opened at 5. So that day I pushed it back. I said, "No reservations till 6. I got to go do this thing." Go into the city with him. We get there early. 4 o'clock. I said, "How long is it going to take?" He's like, "Max an hour." 4:15. I'm waiting, sitting there.
Oh, shit.
4:20. 4:30. They call me in. I walk in, sit down. "You got 30." And that's the first thing I say. "You got 30 minutes. And they're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, me waiting 30. Now you got 30. I'm like, "I'm out at 5. I said, "I got a restaurant to run." And the guy, that's what I got. I got the guy laughing. And the other guy's like, "I like this guy." So they asked me a couple questions. I was honest, he told me, he's like, "Don't hold back. Be you." So I was. And I looked down. I'm like, "I got to go." And I went to get up. And I'm like, "No, wait. I'm like, "It's 5 o'clock. I'm like, "Time's up. I got to go." It's like, "One more question." They asked me where it was, and I answered. And they're like, "All right, great. We'll be in touch." I said, "Okay." So a week or two later, they called Brian. And he's like, "Yeah, you're good. You got it." I said, "All right. Tell me when and where."
Wow.
Long Island City, Queens. In a warehouse, right? We show up at 5 in the morning. Finished at midnight.
Wow.
So I was episode 13, but I was the third episode filmed, counting the pilot. So technically I was only the second episode filmed. So they're all brand new at this. It was a clusterfuck. They didn't have equipment that worked, and they didn't even have like a chinois, which is a strainer. Like, they were missing a bunch of stuff. They're like, "Oh, tell me," at the end they were like, "Oh, can you give me a list of things that you think would have been better?" I'm like, "Spoons,
Get the fuck out of
chinois.
here, bro.
Oh, yeah,
Was
yeah.
that bad?
It was brand new. They had no ground to work off of, right? So, I mean, it was real. If that's what people want to know, and I tell them the truth, that one was real. I went in, I got the basket. They took our cell phones. They sequestered us. There was no retakes. It was 30 minutes. It was real. Second time, however, was very different. By the time I got there the second time, because I went twice, second one doesn't really air.
Really?
Second one doesn't air much. I didn't give them much because I was so mad at the way that it went through. It was a champion.
I didn't know you were there twice.
Not many do. I don't care about it. The show had sold like 2 or 3 times by this. They're only in like the 5th season or something. They already sold the show so many times. It was a completely different crew. It was more being geared towards what it is today, what all reality television is. They're handing me scripts, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not saying. The one guy asked me to bump into somebody. I'm like, bro, man, I'm 6'240" on a healthy day. I'm like, if I bump into somebody's getting hurt. Oh, we just want to shake it up. I'm like, you don't shake it up in a kitchen where there's knives and fire and heat and oil.
They were trying to shake it up.
Yeah. So I wasn't
That's
playing.
stupid, bro.
So I wasn't playing along. So they didn't like that I wasn't playing along. And I was sick. I was so sick. I mean, I almost shit myself. I just had something going on. I didn't want to go. You know, Brian's like, you have to go. You committed to it. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, I'm in and out of the bathroom. I'm either throwing up or I'm fucking diarrhea or whatever. I was so sick. So we get through the first round, and one of the things was crawfish. So there's one thing you don't know about crawfish. It's like shrimp, right? It's got poop in it. You got to clean the poop out. Nobody cleans the poop out except me. But I lost. So I'm like, whatever. You know, I was just tired of it, right? So because it was a new company, they didn't do anything the right way. So I lost. I should have been able to leave. No, they sequestered me. We have to do an intro. I'm like, should have done the intro before we did the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, now I'm pissed and I want to go home. And now you're expecting me to like be happy and like, oh, I'm going to win and da-da-da-da. No, fuck you. So I was being difficult. I remember there was this big security guard. Big. He's like 7 feet big.
Wow.
That guy. He's like, my man. I was like, my man. I was looking up at him. I was like, bro, come on. This is bullshit and you know it. And he's kind of like, yeah. He's like, he's got to do a solid for me. I'm like, dude, this is bullshit. I'm like, I want to go home. I'm like, you see how this is, da-da-da. So I talked to him for a minute. And it was a really nice guy. And he talked me off the ledge. And they put me in this room. And it happened to be the host's green room, right? Who's eaten at my restaurant at this point in the past because he's from Montclair.
At Passionné.
Correct.
Really?
See, so I'm sitting in this room and he comes in. He's like, what are you doing down here? I'm like, they stuck me down here. He's like, why don't they just let you go home? Because he was confused too. So he and I are talking and one of the, whatever they're called, one of the assistants called, I don't know, film.
Fuck them all.
They're like, Mr. Allen, we need you upstairs. And the guy, and he looks at me and goes, excuse me. He goes, I'm in the middle of a conversation. I'm like, don't ever interrupt me again. To this kid. And he kind of like squirrels away. And he's like, I'm sorry about that. I was like, I get it. I'm like, so it's good to see you again. I'm like, door's always open at the restaurant in Montclair. I know you're from the area. He's like, thank you. He went upstairs. And I'm looking on the table and there's a binder on the table. So I'm curious, right? So I start flipping through the binder. And then there's dossiers on all of us. And there's a star on one of them. It ain't mine. I'm like, So sure enough, put that in the mental Rolodex and show comes out.
That's the person who.
That's the
person who won.
Yep, they had him tagged. So the first time, legit, authentic.
So they started pre-planning all this fucking bullshit.
At least that one.
Listen, in my opinion, me and my wife watch tons of cooking shows, tons of whatever. We watch this glass blowing show called I forget the name of it. I'm a little fucking something blow something. It's a glass blowing show. It's the only one out there. And the past couple seasons were like the people that win. There's no way they should have made it not only this far, but there's no way they should have won.
Yeah.
So it's obvious that these things are scripted in a way.
Yeah. I had a gag restraint for a while. I don't even know if it still applies. So I don't even know if I can even say all this, but like I definitely had a gag restraint for the time before it aired. Like I wasn't allowed to talk about it. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. I had to come home that night and I couldn't tell anybody.
Wow.
So I had people, I remember I had people over to watch it because I filmed it in October of 2008. It aired in April of 2009. It was like 6 months. And I remember I had a bunch of people over to watch it and they're like, did you win? Did you win? I'm like, I don't know.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm still living in the same house, aren't I?
That's
And
crazy.
10 grand ain't 10 grand after tax.
Yeah, of course.
5,500.
Yeah, of course.
Paid my rent at the restaurant.
That's the worst part of watching any show. You see them win the prize, you're like, you ain't getting
You
the
ain't
whole
getting
thing.
that. Yeah. So.
You win a Porsche, you're paying the taxes on
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Tax, title, and license.
Yeah.
So.
But not only were you on Chopped, you were on NBC's Today Show, CBS Morning Show,
Yeah, all of them.
and a few others, right?
All of them. 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13.
Wow.
Yep.
How were those experiences for you? And were they before Chopped or after?
Both. The first one I ever did was the most educational because I know how it worked. It's all kabuki, as Bourdain said. It's all theater. If you are not ready with something finished, I didn't know. I thought I was actually cooking. So I was like rushing through it and I was like stumbling over things. Like when you go, things have to be set up to be done already. You have like 3 minutes tops. That's if you're lucky.
So one's got to be done already, and then you got to perform some sort of, like you said, theater.
Right. That or you have to do something that you can throw together super quick. You know, one time I was on the Today Show and I brought my little cousins with me and we made ice cream in a bag. Something that I learned to do when I was a little kid. And I thought it'd be cute to have them with me. So I brought 3 of my little cousins with me and we did all these little ice creams. And then I made ice cream in little ice cream makers. But those were all running and done before we even got to the segment. And I learned that, like, if you're making mussels, you gotta have one done already. So you put everything in a pan and cover it, and then you open the second pan and it's done.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. So it was good. I mean, I did it for the restaurant. Like I said to you when I walked in here, I got a face for radio. I don't belong on television. You know, I'm an ugly chud. I did it for the restaurant. You know, Brian had to coax me sometimes to do it, but ultimately I knew it was, you know, the right thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't easy to deal with at all. Because if you're going to do it right, you know, and that's for cooking, especially. That's what I say to my kids all the time, too. If you're going to do it right. And that's not doing it right. So,
Well, learning experience.
yeah, 23 times. It's like, you know.
Well, one thing that I'm interested in is, forgive me if my pronunciation is incorrect, because I'm not French. Anyway,
Let me just say it for you.
you were inducted into the
Chaîne
de Rotation,
de Rotissier.
right? Chaîne de Rotation.
Dual induction.
At the age of 28 years old,
Correct.
for not only me, somebody who's not familiar with said achievement, but also to the viewers and listeners,
Right.
what exactly is that achievement, and what does it mean to be inducted into said achievement at such a young age of 28 years old?
So it's the Chaîne de Rotissier, and I have a dual induction. I'm a maître d'hôtel and a chef de rôtissier because I owned restaurants and I'm a chef. So what it is, it's an organization that was formed back in the 17th century, and it was for aristocrats and, you know, boastful hierarchy people that love to eat and drink. Then it was abolished for a long time, and then it was redeveloped in, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm thinking about the plaque with the number. It's in the 20th century. Okay. It was reestablished. And essentially what it is it's really for wine enthusiasts, sommeliers, restaurant owners, hoteliers, hotel owners, chefs, and just all around food and wine enthusiasts.
Okay.
So it's really just a bunch of people getting together, dressing up, drinking and eating is what it is. You know, I've done dinners for them. I've gone to some dinners. I was pretty young when I got inducted. I now know a lot of people that were younger that have been inducted since. So it was cool. I mean, it's a cool little like secret handshake kind of thing. You get knighted into it.
Really?
There's a little ceremony. You know, you have this ribbon with a big medallion, and you know, there's certain things that every time you do a dinner, you get issued like a plate or a plaque, and you can't buy these things. They have to be given to you. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little thing. It's a nice little resume builder. You know, pop that on there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure it's very important to your resume, and it helps accentuate anything you've ever done.
I will tell you that is the key to the door that opened my friendship to Maynard. And I know you said that you are a big fan, but if it wasn't for the Shen, that would have never happened.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, around this time, around you owning Passionné,
Right.
there's a fun fact of you that the viewers and listeners might not know is you're very close and friends with Maynard James Keenan of Tool, the band that I love, and I'm sure you love as well. Yeah. So if you can now, since you brought it up, the Chien de Rôtissier, whatever, how the fuck you pronounce it, is responsible for how you know him. Explain this.
Indirectly. So I was invited to my very first James Beard dinner in 2008 on my birthday, August 12th, 2008. And I was over the moon. Huge honor.
It's a big accomplishment.
Big honor.
Yeah.
So part of it is, you supply food, you supply wine, you cook for these people. It's a fundraiser for the foundation. I didn't have a liquor license at Passionné. So I got some wine through a second source. I was approved by the foundation, and it was okay. It was decent. It didn't do justice to what I wanted to do for a dinner. So when I got invited back a second time, I said, okay, I really have to find wine that fits with my vision. And my friend Scott, the chef, is a sommelier. And I called him and I said, listen, I'm doing another dinner. I got to get some good wine, right? I still didn't have a liquor license. So he turned me on to a couple different wineries. Some were biodynamic, some were organic. Washington, Oregon, New York. Didn't really like it. So I have a friend out in Vegas who's a beverage director for Jean-Georges. I called him up. I said, bro, I got this second dinner. I really want to do something that's more me. He's going to call Maynard. I'm like, who? Like Tool, like Maynard, like the musician? He goes, yeah. He makes wine? He goes, yeah. He goes, we just did a dinner with him here. Wine's phenomenal. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I go to the store. It's like one store in Jersey that was carrying it. Gary's Wine Marketplace.
Wow, Gary's.
Yeah, so I go out there.
I know Gary's.
And I bought like 4 or 5 bottles, different wines. Tasted them. Called Adam, another friend, over. I'm like, we're going to do wine tasting. Got another dinner coming up. Loved them. They were just different, right? They were not your typical wines. There's something different about them. There was something I couldn't put my finger on, but they were raw. They had different profiles. They didn't I'm trying to use words that I would have used not knowing what I know now. You understand?
Yeah.
Because I can use all the big words now, but it wouldn't make sense of how I was feeling then. Like it didn't resonate as what wine should have tasted like to me. It was something different. And I was like, this is awesome. This matches what I do. Because I do traditional, but it tastes different. This is what I need. So I said, okay, how am I going to do this? So I called the winery. And I get this woman. Her name was Paula. And she was his brand manager. And I said, this is my name. This is what I want to do. Blah, 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 blah. No. Straight up. I said, okay, maybe I'm not explaining this right. This is James Beard Foundation in New York. She goes, no. I said, can I at least send you an email with the information so you know I'm not full of shit? I'll send you the invitation letter, right? I understand now why. Very protective, right? So I send over all the information. I send over the invitation letter. I send over the James Beard stuff. I send over my menu. I send over my resume. She calls me back in about a half an hour. You remember the Shen? I said, yes. What chapter? I said, Garden State. Who's your bailli? Bailli means president. I said, Joe Marino. She goes, what's your membership? I said, chef de rôtissier et maître de hotel rôtissier. She goes, I'm the president of the Sedona chapter. She goes, I'm the Bahia, Sedona chapter. I said, awesome. Let me take a look at your stuff. She takes a look at it, calls me back. He's not coming. I said, what? She's like, Maynard's not coming. I'm asking about the wine. I said, I like the wine. I'm interested in the wine. She was okay. I just want you to know if we do it, he's not coming. Fine. I'm like, I want the wine, right? So we were going back and forth a little bit, and I knew that she was still skeptical. So I said, I want to come out there and visit. She said, well, he's not out here. I'm like, I want to come out and visit the winery and understand what I'm getting into. I said, It's better he's not there. So I did. Grabbed a buddy of mine. I said, yo, you want to come to Arizona a couple days? I had a chef that worked for me out in Arizona. Called him up. And I said, Nick, I'm coming out to Arizona. Can I crash with you for a couple days? He goes, yeah. So I went out. He was one of my stewards at Passionné. He had moved out to Arizona. So I went out, crashed with him, brought my buddy with me, drove up to Jerome, in that area. Met at the time who was his business partner, who was no longer. But I saw the operation. Tasted some wine out of barrels. Really nice, right?
Wow.
Left. Come back. Get a phone call from Paul. You're going to get a phone call from a guy named Jeff out of the city. He works for this company. Because I didn't have a liquor license still. He's like, he's going to take care of procuring the wine for the dinner. Awesome. Get a phone call from this guy. He goes, what are you doing on Thursday? What are you doing on Thursday? Working. He goes, come to the Hammerstein Ballroom at this time. I said, okay. Go to Hammerstein Ballroom. Post the first plane. Right? Never seen them. Never heard of them. Blown away. This is
Pussifer's fire.
Not a concert. It's a show. It hits you on so many levels of artistic creativity.
Dude, Maynard's the best, bro.
Wild. I'm blown away. I'm like, this is outside of anything I've ever experienced. Show's over. Lights go up. I stand up. Go sit down. We're going to wait. I said, all right. So we're waiting. The whole thing clears out. This is like 7 of us, including this guy, Jeff. He goes, all right, let's go. Go in the back. Walk in the back. Lo and behold, there he is, standing there, the man. And I'm just like, cool. I don't really get overly
starstruck.
Yeah. He's a person. He's a human being. He should be treated with that respect. That's everybody, athlete or whatever. That's how I am, right? Jeff goes around the room, introduces everybody to him. Everybody's there for a different purpose. Circles back to me. He says, I'm doing a dinner with you. I said, yes. Whatever the date was, March, whatever. He goes, that's pretty cool. He goes, how'd you come about it? So I told him, my buddy, Andy's out in Vegas. You did some dinners out there with Jean-Georges. He's like, oh, yeah. Started talking about the wine. Started talking about the food. Started talking about the restaurant. Somehow started talking about books. And the next thing I realize is he's right here. And we're talking. And there's 6 people watching us have a conversation. So I'm like, I start like kind of realizing that no one else is involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
And I kind of just took a lean back, and I'm like, so yeah, I'm really excited. I really thank you. I appreciate you sending the wines. He's like, all right. He goes, well, I'll see you there. And I'm like, what? And he just looks at me and goes, you think I'm going to miss that? He goes, I'll see you there. I was like, solid. Cool, man. Gave him a handshake. And then he came.
Wow.
And while I was in town, again, at the time he had a business partner, and they had put out a documentary called Blood into Wine. You should watch it.
I've never seen that.
I think it's on something, Hulu, Netflix. It's out there.
I'll get it. I'm very savvy. I'll get it.
They made the trip to New York for the James Beard dinner part of their release.
Wow.
So they're down at City Winery in Manhattan, and he invited me. He emailed me at the time, and he said, come down to City Winery and watch the movie. It's all right. So I go down, I'm watching the movie, and it's cool. And then they do a Q&A, and I'm sitting all the way in the back. And somebody asked them, they're like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you releasing here.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we're doing a dinner at the James Beard House with that guy. He just points me out. And I'm just like, hi. And everybody like swoons around. I knew like 4 or 5 people in the crowd. I didn't know they were there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But they all came up to me. Yo, what are you doing with him? I'm like, we're doing the dinner. So after the dinner, you know, I started going out there every year. And because I want to learn how viniculture is. I want to learn how you plant grapes. I want to learn how you prune the vines. I want to learn about the irrigation. I want to learn about the crush, the harvest, the blending. You know, I want to learn all of that. So I'd go out different times of the year, and over time, you know, for a very, 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 very first time I went out there, they put me up on the retired tour bus in the vineyard. So that's where I stayed for a week. Yeah. 4 flat tires sitting on a vineyard.
Wow.
Yeah. It was cool.
It's bonkers.
Yeah. So, but over the years, you know, it was just the conversations that got more intense. And there was a point where I didn't understand it, to be honest. And there was a winemaker from California. His name was Greg. I can't remember his last name. I'm sure it's in my phone. And I was sitting out at the vineyard one night, and he's like, you want to have some wine and smoke a cigar? I was like, yeah, I'll have some wine. I don't really smoke cigars, but I'll sit with you. And we're sitting there, we're talking about wine, where he's from in California and where I'm from in Jersey. And I made a comment. I was like, I don't get it. Get it. He's like, what don't you get? I'm just some schmuck from Jersey. I don't get why, you know, we're friends, you know? And I heard you say it one time before. You said something like, real recognizes real.
I was just going to say that. It's like you read my mind.
That was an older guy. He didn't use that actual
Doesn't
verbiage.
matter.
But he said something similar to that. And then he laid it out for me. And that's for me. But he laid it out. And then after he went through his whole thing, I'm just like, fuck, that's pretty cool, man. I connected with this guy. Now, it wasn't like a connection like we were talking about before. It was like the Bob thing, right? But it was definitely a connection where it's like, here are 2 very different people, different upcoming, different in a lot of ways, but are connected by one thing, which is wine and food, right? And then that matriculates into other things. Some of the best times I had out there was sitting in his driveway in a lawn chair, eating sausages off a hibachi, drinking beer, just talking about everything and anything.
There's nothing better than conversation.
Yeah.
Between 2 people that not only respect each other, but just have that synchronicity,
Yeah.
that spirituality that connects and binds with each other.
Remember I said I had a friend who said that studies all religions, practices. That's him. That was him that said that. I was opening Pig and Prince. We were in the construction phase. And I was out there. And we were sitting there. We were having one of our driveway barbecues, if you will. And I said to him, like, how do you do it? How do you manage it all? 3 music projects, 2 wineries, restaurants on the horizon, you got all this stuff. How do you do it? He's like, 2 things. I'm a master scheduler. He's like, if I don't schedule, I'm scheduled. He goes, and that's super important. He said, you never give away the farm. I was like, okay. He goes, you understand? And I said, yeah. Flew back to Jersey, papered up all the windows at Pig and Prince, didn't let anybody inside for the remainder of the build. I didn't let anybody know what I was doing.
You never give anyone the farm.
Never give away the farm.
You never give away the farm.
Right. That's what he said.
Wow.
You waft out a scent and let people come to their own conclusions.
Yeah, that's bizarre, though. That's really cool that you have a relationship with him. I remember being a kid in 4th grade, watching Tool videos with the stop motion claymation and stuff like that. That stuff, there's certain things that growing up as a kid stained my mind. And, you know, growing up, I love horror movies, always did. So there's certain covers of walking into a video store that I remember that'll stay in my mind forever. And there's certain music videos, Soundgarden, Black Hole Sun, you know, shit like that. But those Tool videos with the claymation, I remember just being mesmerized. Yeah. And it's just like
the Alex Gray artwork that
Alex Gray is the best. I got to meet him once.
Did you? I did, yeah. I got to meet his whole family, actually.
That must have been a literal acid trip.
He's a really cool guy. I mean, the art that he does is fantastic. I mean, it's wildly cool.
That's why I wanted to go to that show recently on the beach in DR, because I believe Alex Gray was doing a presentation there or some sort of.
Where were we? We were at a theater, and he was playing in Morristown.
Really?
Yeah, I was with my friend Jay. I can't remember. But yeah, I got to meet him, and I met his kids. He had his kids with him.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. A wild artist. Like crazy. Yeah,
he's amazing,
crazy
bro.
stuff.
He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm going to bring this back what I was talking about before. Yeah. I said that I knew you were into skateboarding before I knew you told me you were.
All right.
You're known for being big on locally sourced ingredients in your cuisine.
Yep.
And, you know, I'd like to get your take on the importance of that to you. And you got to tell me what Thunder Farms is. So when I found out about Thunder Farms, I saw the logo or the insignia that you made, and it had the Thrasher font.
Yep.
So when I saw that, I said, this guy loves skateboard.
Yeah. Thunder Farms was a project that I did. It was a hybrid. It crossed over from Passionné to Pig and Prince before I started my garden. It was a greenhouse project on Matarazzo Farms in North Caldwell.
Okay.
And I met James Matarazzo, Mr. Matarazzo, who was a farmer. He was multi-generational.
Really?
He had one of the last active farms in Essex County. And he was getting up there in age, and I used to go to his farm stand, and I used to visit him at the farmers markets all the time, and we became friends. And I told him that I was really interested in it, and he told me to come up. So I would come up to the farm, and I said, can I grow some stuff in tubs, like organic? He's like, yeah, whatever you want to do. So it started small. It was like, you know, the bus tubs, like busboy tubs.
Yeah.
He started like 20 of those, and it ended up probably had almost 200 at its capacity. And we grew leafy greens, microgreens, small vegetables, all sorts of stuff. And in one of his greenhouses, he just let me use it. And
really?
He would help me through it and talk me through it. And, you know, he's a great guy. I mean, really great guy. He taught me a lot about agriculture, a lot about farming, a lot about the importance of agriculture, a lot about the destruction of the agricultural system in New Jersey.
Wow.
The bureaucracy behind it. He was bitter.
Really?
Jaded, yeah. He had his...
Bitter in what way?
He lost a lot of his land.
Really?
Family land, yeah. It was developed into housing developments, townhouses you could see right from the greenhouses.
Wow.
And ultimately, he ended up selling the whole thing.
Jesus Christ.
Before he passed. He passed, it's been a while now, but I'd say within the last 8 years, maybe. It was tough. He was a great guy. A great guy. I remember visiting him. He'd always be sitting at the farmer's market in his chair with his unlit cigar in his mouth. his cowboy hat on. And
oh, yeah?
Yeah. What's up, young man?
Yeah.
He was great. But yeah, Thunder Farms, that was Thunder Farms. And we produced more than we can use at Passionné.
Really?
Small. Oh, yeah. Arugula grows like a weed, man. Holy shit.
Oh, does it? I have no idea regarding that.
Roche arugula grows quick and fast. And if you don't catch it, it goes to seed. So I would actually cut it and give it away to a lot of some of my friends that had restaurants. I would just show up with bags.
Wow.
Like, bro, you want some arugula? Like, yeah, here. I grew it. Take it. It's got to be clean, but have at it. I don't want it to go to seed. And then that's kind of what ultimately parlayed into the garden at Pig and Prince, which was its own beast. That thing was, we grew everything in there. We grew corn, sunflowers, 3 different kinds of tomatoes, 3 different kinds of peppers.
Wow.
We grew peas, radishes, eggplant, zucchinis, herbs. We had mint, oregano, tons of basil, parsley, chives, scallions. I'm probably missing a whole bunch of shit.
Wow.
Ton of vegetables. And that also, we use that all in the restaurant. People would be coming out of the kitchen, middle of the night, 6, 7 o'clock, going out, snipping basil.
Yeah?
Rinsing it, making pesto. You're eating it in the next 15, 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's fun. And I charged all the cooks and my porters to take care of it. They would water it. Like I think Will talked about it. They had to take care of it. They had to water it. They had to prune it. They had to be in there. We did everything naturally. So we didn't use any type of pesticides or anything. We would drop cinnamon and cayenne pepper all over to keep any vermin or bugs away. Wow. And then over the years, some of the stuff, what's the word I'm looking for? It mutated, I guess. Like the oregano and the mint somehow fused. So we'd get mint oregano after yeah. It was
gotta come up with a name for that.
Oregano. I don't know. It was kind of cool though. But,
yeah.
But yeah.
Some straight innovation.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey would go out there and pick herbs and make pasta dishes, and it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I won an award for that garden, actually.
Did you?
I did.
From who?
I don't remember. Somebody. I had to give a speech. It was a community garden award, or community beautification award.
Wow.
For my urban farm is what they called it.
Is that right?
So we transferred the name. I used to call it Thunder. We'd had a Thunder Farms little sign that went in the garden there.
I've seen the Thrasher logo, so I had to ask.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about Pig and Prince right now, it's safe to segue into that area, that zone, if you will. So you ended up closing Passionné in 2012, right?
11. July 2011. I sold it.
Okay.
I sold the space. I didn't sell the name.
So let me ask you, what was the initial reason for closing Passionné, and how did you go about opening Pig and Prince? What was the reasoning for the name change, etc.?
So I wanted to see what the next step was going to be. I had a guest who became a friend, who then became a business partner. Kind of painted me a picture as to what could be. He was in an industry that was very glamorous. So he was used to a lot of lights and sparkles and, pixie dust is what he used to use terms. So he painted me this picture, and I thought I could pull it off. I'm like, all right, let's go down this road and let's see what we're looking at here. And we started looking around, and we were looking in Ridgewood and Morristown and Montclair, and I had looked at Lackawanna Plaza before. I had gone in there by myself because it had been empty since I opened Passionné. When I opened Passionné, it was closed. It closed within a couple months. So the video store closed, and it was empty the whole time that Passionné.
You're talking about Hollywood Video.
Hollywood Video. And right around, this was the fall of 2010, they put the banner up that said liquor license available. So there was 1,000 people going to come running and beating the door down, right? So I'm one of those people, and I go in there, and I remember walking in there, and I went in the middle of the room, I laid on the floor, I laid down and I stared up at the ceiling and I closed my eyes. And I just lay different. And I'm sure that the guy showing me thought I was crazy. And I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to leave now. And I went back to my friend, who was my future business partner, and I said, that's the spot. Feel it. That's the spot. Let's forget about Ridgewood. Let's forget about the other thing. It's falling apart anyway. That's the spot. Let's figure it out. So we went in and we met the company that owned the property. And, you know, we had the least amount of money of anybody that was interested. But I like to think that I had the vision and they had me. And I was able to speak the vision. So I'm not saying me like I have a big ego or anything, but I was able to speak the vision. I was able to explain what I saw when I closed my eyes. And I was able to articulate that to a point where if these guys agreed, you guys should take the ball. So we did. And it cost twice as much as we thought. And it took a little bit longer than we thought. And it was painful. And at the 11th hour, we were short. So I had to go and dig up a couple $100,000.
I mean, how do you dig up a couple $100,000?
Pray. Send out 40 letters, 40 invitations to come and see it. You do 40 tours. And you get one guy that believes in your vision and helps you out. And 39 of them say, no, thank you. We don't see it. It's not going to happen. But one did, other than my partner, who obviously believed in it. And he was the majority.
Wow.
And this gentleman who I've known for quite a while, he was a very good customer at my old restaurant. He's not in the industry at all. He's actually in the retail supermarket business. He said, all right, I'll help you out. I'll get you over the hump. I need somebody to get me over the 5-yard line, right? They need to just get me over the goal line. So I was on the 5. It was 4th and 5, and I'm right there. And he did it. He got me there. So
wow.
Yeah. And like I said before, I built up this anticipation. I wouldn't let anybody in. I had one blogger who I was friends with, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not giving anybody an exclusive. I'll give it to you. I'm like, I want to give the little guy a shot. You know, she just did a blog.
It's all about the family, man.
She did a lot of nice write-ups and video things for me at my other restaurant, and she was really locked into the community, which was what was most important for me. You know, I created a place that created 40 jobs in a time where we needed it. It's 2012. We needed jobs to be filled. Like, people need a job.
Yeah, of course.
So I didn't just build a restaurant. I built jobs. 40 people.
It's a lot of people.
People.
It's a shit ton of people.
So we were ready to go. Paper came off. I opened the door. I said, come on in. She did her thing. And then it was mayhem. I wasn't ready. We weren't prepared. I was understaffed. Hindsight's 2020. You can go back and look at things and you do 1,000 things differently. And I would. And there's 1,000 things I wouldn't do differently. But ultimately, it all ended up kind of finding its way. We were like water, you know. We had some bumps. We had a lot of bruises. There was blood. There was sweat. There were tears.
To me, though, what was special about the space is the space itself. On
Iconic.
top of you, your expertise, your knowledge, and your input to the culture as a whole.
Right.
But I loved the space. I'm a railroader.
Okay.
So seeing
I'm a
that,
history buff. Yeah.
seeing the fucking, it was an abandoned old railroad, right? Give the history if you could.
So it was the original Lackawanna train station in Montclair. It was built in 1911.
Yeah.
The architect was a gentleman by the name of William Hulse Botsford, who perished on the Titanic, who never saw it open in 1912.
Really?
Correct, because Titanic went down April, and it opened in later in the year, in 12. It was noted by the New York Times as the single greatest architectural achievement of its time. And it hosted many movies were filmed in there. The original Cheaper by the Dozen was filmed in there.
Really?
So it had so much history and there was so much importance to the community. Even when people didn't see it, I wanted to lift that veil. I wanted to show them this is an important building. This is a super important project, not for me, but for the community, for the town, for the state. I'm going to want to bring something back to life. I want to breathe life back into this dead space that has been bastardized by a fucking Hollywood video and a Pizza Hut. Ugh, horrible. Bring some. So my goal was I want to make it look timeless. I want to make it look like you walked in there and it's either 1912 or 2012. Doesn't matter what century you're in. It works. And I think we did pretty much get there. I mean, there were some tweaks along the way, but for the most part, we got there. And
me personally, I've been there twice, a little more than twice, but
pre-pigeon or post-pigeon?
There's two moments that I remember specifically of being there. So the first time I ever been to Big and Prince was my boy Corey. Shout out my boy Corey Donahue, who I've actually had on this podcast when it was the audio only version. Panther Printing.
Mm-hmm.
So he had his birthday party there.
Okay.
And they held it in the
tap room.
What was it?
The tap room area?
Yeah, that area. So I went there, never been there prior. I walk inside. My wife, who's my wife now, we weren't married at the time, but we walked in and I was like, whoa. This place is this is hip. This is something that I can not only get with, but I feel comfortable in this environment. Mm-hmm. It was a good tap room, have a couple drinks, relax at a night. And that's very important to me. Mm-hmm. To have a space that you can go at night where it's a little low key, it's not too congested, and it was nice. So that was the first time I ever been there. Mm. And, while I was there, I could see through the other side, the dining area. I was like, man, there's another world on the other side of this bar. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, I can't wait to go there again. So one day I did a Father's Day dinner there. I booked it for my father and my father-in-law, my wife who went there. We didn't have my son yet. We went there. And I was like, wow. I was like, this is an old abandoned rail station. This is so being that I'm a rail conductor, this was it kind of resonated with me different than it would an average human being. Right. Even though I'm not a real buff, it's still, I'm in the
part
industry.
Of your life,
yeah, I'm in the industry. So it's cool to see it. And just the choicing of the upholstery, the choicing of the ambiance, everything. It just felt nice. Seeing the window with the meat hanging in it, the whole thing, I was enamored with the whole experience. Mm. And it was so nice to just be there those couple times and really take it in and just enjoy it. How important was that to you? And especially the meat experience, because not only did you have this restaurant, did you have this area where you can kind of sprinkle the nightlife people, and it was kind of a marriage of multiple things. Mm-hmm. It had family lifestyle aspect to it. It had nightlife aspect to it. And then it had that kind of sewer aspect to it, where you had these nights where you would have special, meat charcuterie nights and pasta stuff. What was that like for you? And how important was it that you curated these nights that were specific for certain demographics?
It was hectic. It was stressful.
I'm sure.
It was costly. It was exciting. It was fun. It was necessary. Doing those types of extras, if you will. There's a duality to it. You want to do some really cool stuff. We had wineries in there. I had Brooklyn Brewery in there, and I forgot his name, but who's the big brewer guy? He's real famous from Brooklyn Brewery. I forgot his name.
I forget his name too. I know you're talking about though.
The black guy, Really fucking awesome guy. Oh, he was in there. I had him in there. Maynard was in there. We did an event with him. Like we did a whole bunch of events. I brought winemakers in all the time, but it was necessary because need to make money. So I did in kitchen tastings. It was 2 people only. It was $400, and it was whatever I wanted to cook you that day. 16 courses, 6 courses, whatever I was on my mind, or whatever was being experimental or creative or wild, or I went ramp foraging, and I got morels, and come in and taste them. I only have a pound, so we need to do anything we could to procure something different, something that other people weren't offering on the regular. We had mussel Thursdays, right? Bottomless mussels. We had dollar oysters on certain nights. Those like the bar-y kind of things. But it's a lot. It's a lot when you're by yourself too. I had really good people, but there was a lot of lack of support, and it took a toll. It took a toll physically, mentally, emotionally, and again, it's gone. I appreciate it more, but objectively, it's still not Passionné. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to a lot of people. And I'm happy that it does. I'm happy that I was able to make those careers for people. I was happy I was able to build that stage for people to stand on, and that ledge for them to jump from. And I think that's important, but I did it at a cost. I did it at my own cost. And it was painful.
I think, a lot of things, especially worth doing, are at your own cost. So I just want you to know for sure, from a person that was from the outside, that was there at a time that you didn't even know me at this time. I just went there. I was a regular person. And I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass, but it was an experience, and it was a special one. So the 2 times, the 3 times, 4 times, whatever it was that I went there, it was few. It wasn't the most. At the time, I wasn't really making that much money, so I couldn't really splooge. But the times that I did go there, I had a good time, and I had an experience. And I just want you to know that when I was there, the experiences that I had were phenomenal.
Thank you.
I got to go there. I got to experience. I got to take in the here's the thing that's really cool about it is the decor, the upholstery. And it to my understanding, you personally sourced a lot of the stuff that went into the decoration of the place and the decor. Is that correct?
Listen, I always give credit where credit's due. My partner at the time was a designer. And he owned the company that built staging and setting. So when it came to things like the upholstery and those types of things, I can't take the credit for that. And I won't, regardless on what our relationship is now. It was him. And he had the eye for that. And if he didn't, then he had people on his team that did. When it came to the procuring the historic items, though, that was important to me. And I searched out and I found the bench. That was one of the original benches. I sourced out and we found the rail. That was the foot rail for the bar, but it was the rail that train ran on. And
it was the original rail.
And it said Erie Lackawanna 1911 on it.
Fucking crazy.
Originally, when we opened, there were 2 light fixtures on the bar. They were original to when electricity was introduced to the station. Also, the light fixtures that hung around the sides were original from when electricity was introduced. Because in the beginning, there was no electricity, remember. There were steam engines. And it was all open air.
Yes.
So those would have been candle sconces. So that stuff was important to me. Originally, that restaurant should have had a wooden floor. But when we tore up the laminate and the carpet from the video store, we found that aggregate marble. We were because we tore it from the corner and we started seeing the mosaic. We thought that there was going to be a centerpiece like in Grand Central. So we ripped the whole carpet up and we deglued the whole floor, only to find that it was just marble, but it was still gorgeous. We didn't have that center medallion that we were expecting. But it's okay because the floor was amazing and it wasn't perfect, which is what made it perfect. There were cracks.
Exactly.
There were seams. When we dug out the bar, we had to cut for plumbing. When we cut, the floor dropped 12 inches.
Get the fuck out of here.
The
12
entire
inches?
dining room was a solid piece of marble sitting on the cornerstones, and the earth had settled underneath it over the last 100 years. So we had to backfill with concrete. So I like to say with the steel that we put in and the concrete, we built the heaviest restaurant on earth.
Get the fuck out of here.
2 trucks.
2 trucks.
We had to backfill with concrete underneath. That probably would have never moved or anything. It sat there for 100 years as was. But it was amazing because when they cut and that floor dropped, the aggregate concrete is 13 inches deep. So it dropped almost underneath where the floor sat. It was crazy. I still have a piece of that concrete. I still have a piece of that aggregate marble. I saved it.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I can't describe how, like I said, if the listeners or the viewers never been there, you really missed out. Because it was
special.
It was not only a special place, it was an experience. And I'm big on experiences. Yeah. And when I went there, you felt the aura of the area. You felt the energy. You felt the care, the love. When you looked over in that glass and you saw that meat hanging there. Pause.
That was glorious. I can't wait to do that again sometime.
That was my favorite part, when I could glance over and I could see that fucking illuminated glass with this big leg of prosciutto di Parma just sitting there. What's better than that?
I called them Jersey hams.
Jersey hams.
Because they were raised in Jersey, slaughtered in Jersey, cured in Jersey, and eaten in Jersey. Those pigs were specially raised for me. I had a farmer out in Andover, Pittenger Farms, Louis Tommaso. He'll never hear this, but Louis raised my pigs, my lamb. I got my chickens from him. Yep.
Everything is literally from the ground up with Passionné.
Passionné, yeah.
With Passionné.
Yep.
It's funny that your first restaurant, the name of it, is able to translate throughout the entirety of your career.
Yeah. And then some.
And then some.
But what's in a name? It's funny because it's last thing that I come up with. And then after a while, it just becomes like, I don't know.
Second nature?
Yeah, when you just say it, there is meaning to it. But it's like, the way I look at it's like a tattoo, right? There's some sort of meaning to it, but at least in my opinion, it just is what it is.
I don't know. I think it's further than a meaning.
It's my perspective. It could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Well, take Pig and Prince, for example. Okay? We were done, pretty much, with the design and everything. No idea what the name was. No idea. I sat in a room with some people. We were trying to figure it out. So we had a sounding board, right? We had a whiteboard up. There were all these words written on the board. Cochon, which is French for pig. The number 333, which is my lucky number.
Wait, what? You know that? Did you know that 3 is my favorite number?
No, it's a universal number.
And that 333 is the ultimate favorite number of mine?
I didn't know that. 369 is the universal number to everything. It's the code to all the universe. You know that? Well, that's a whole nother conversation.
So
originally it was going to be,
know you forever.
It was going
to
be
that way.
It was going to be Cochon 333. That was going to be the name of the restaurant. So, what the fuck? Trois Cochons was the name of the company. Means 3 pigs. So Trois Petits Cochons, 3 little pigs, was another name. We're sitting and we're looking at all this. It's all up on the board. Flashback, when I was on Chopped, I put cognac in everything. So one of the judges called me the king of cognac at one point. It's like a joke. I have a buddy who thought that was hysterical, who constantly called me the king of cognac. Hey, what's up, king of cognac, king of cognac, king of cognac. And my son was born. He started calling him the prince of cognac. I'm sitting in this meeting and he happened to call me. And whenever he would call me, he'd be like, hey, how's the prince? And he said it, and I'm staring at this board, and all I'm staring is at the word pig. And I said, what'd you say? He goes, how's the prince? I said, pig and prince. And two guys looked at me like, what did you say? And I was like, I gotta call you back. I hung up the phone. Pig and prince. And that's how it came to.
That's how the name came?
Yep. That's how it came. So when people ask, I had a whole bunch of different answers, right? If I somewhat liked you, I would say it represents where the casual and the elegant can coexist. What does it mean? It's where the casual and the elegant can coexist. If I didn't particularly care for you as a reporter, I would tell you it represented the duality of man, which is a take from Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, wow.
What does it say on your helmet, soldier? Born to kill. Why do you have a peace sign? It represents the duality of man, sir. So it was a joke. I'm going off of a Stanley Kubrick thing, and they're not smart enough to catch it.
Kubrick is the GOAT.
Yeah. I would have done Clockwork Orange, but I couldn't find the relevance.
That's my favorite, bro.
So I would say
Korova milk bar.
it represents the duality of man. And then finally, I think it was like the very last day, somebody asked me, like, what does it mean? I was like, it's me and my son. That's what it means.
You and your son. That's so beautiful.
My daughter wasn't born yet. So
that's so beautiful.
That's who the prince is. He's the prince.
Wow, it's great to hear the real meaning of pig and prince. Because I was going to ask you what it was, and there you go.
But
it's
been 13 years, and it you see what I'm saying? Where like it's been said that it means one thing, but it really doesn't. So to me, it's like what it means to me is all that matters, and that's it. What it means to everybody else matters to them. Not saying it doesn't matter to me, but that's where I was going with that. I wasn't trying to like put anyone's opinions or feelings down on it. Just saying.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with me your personal meaning for what pig and prince means, and that to me is the most important meaning.
And that image, I drew that.
The back of the pig.
So what that is it's from a 1940s rendition of the Three Little Pigs. And he's sitting on the windowsill looking out. So I redrew it sitting on a bar stool with the crown with the broken prong. So that was where that image comes from.
No fucking shit.
Yeah.
Since you say that, I have a really important question. At least it's important to me. I know that, at least from my research, if you will, you used to draw a lot of, if you thought of a dish, you would draw it out before you would actually execute said dish. Now, here interviewing you and finding out you and Bill and you dealing with that gentleman that, carved this stuff and he told you to draw the swan or the geese in 4-dimension. As you were telling me that story, it kind of took this question that I was going to ask you and brought it all, it all came to fruition regarding that. So is that something that you learned from that experience and you carried it out throughout the rest of your career, where you would draw out dishes before you would execute them technically in the kitchen?
I'm a very visual person when it comes to food. You can describe something as much as you want, but it doesn't make sense to me unless I can see it, touch it, taste it, feel it. And I reverse engineer everything that I do. But when it comes to creating a dish, I always draw it first. And I don't necessarily know what I'm drawing. I draw shapes.
Yeah. And
I'll draw contrasts. Now, I'm partially colorblind, so I have somewhat of a difficulty with colors sometimes. But I know what colors things are, right? So if you go off that. So yeah, I will draw a picture, and then I'll identify, that could be chicken, it could be duck, could make it look like pork, and then this is this, and this is that, and this is the sauce. And then, all right, what flavor, where are we? We're in May. So one of my little things is what grows together goes together, right? So what's growing right now? So we figure out what's growing, and then I make a dish out of that.
Huh.
So you can make succotash, but if you make succotash in August, it's going to be different than if you make it in February, right? If you make it in August, you should have lima beans and corn and tomato and onion and spring,
Seasonal, yeah.
Season. You make it in the fall, you should have squash and rutabaga and, jicama and things like the root vegetables, right? So it all starts with a picture. It all starts with an idea. And I love Salvador Dali. He is my favorite artist. He illustrated a cookbook, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'll show that to you one day.
I'd love to see that because his images are otherworldly.
Wild. So I collect his prints he has an Alice in Wonderland collection.
Yeah.
I think I'm 9 of 13 now. I have them hanging. They're
really?
I love them. And I got his book a long time ago. Oh God, I saved up for it forever. I think I paid like $800 for it. It's not even signed. It's just a first edition. And I know he's not a chef, but it's wild what he can do and the way that he sees things, right? So cookbooks nowadays are not cookbooks. They're picture books, right? But back in the day, cookbook had words. You read a recipe, you made a dish. But you can get more out of that than somebody's picture. But when Dali paints a picture, it's so abstract and so obscure and twisted in certain ways. There's one where he has, I don't know if it's supposed to be the Virgin Mary, but she's covered in crawfish dress and she's just bleeding from the eyes. It's wild. It's wild shit.
I've never
and
seen
if you look
that.
at it, you're like, that's sick. But if you really look at it, you're like, that's fucking genius. Like, that's crazy cool. I'll get you the book. I'll show it to you. Should have brought it. I didn't know you were a Dali guy. But it all starts with a picture. All starts with a picture. Deconstruct what it is. Figure out what each of those shapes is. And then take it from there. Like I did a rabbit dish once. And I baked it in hay. Because rabbits eat hay.
Really? What was that dish?
I don't remember. I just remember baking a rabbit in hay. And I just wanted to see if it worked. And it did. And it was delicious. It was crazy. It was good. I'm like, all right, well, this works because I served it with carrot sauce. Because they eat carrots, right? Well, what does a rabbit eat? That's what we should serve it with. Well, why don't we bake it in the hay? It'd be awesome. Things like that.
Wow.
Different. Kind of different stuff, yeah. So, yeah, I'll draw a picture. I'll deconstruct a picture, and then I'll figure out what that is.
Wow.
For most things.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
This restaurant, obviously Pig and Prince, before we move on, this is where you met two of the guests that I've already had on this podcast that have had such high praises for you, for what you preach, for how you act, for who you are as a whole. Michael Cosenza, who is now currently your business partner for Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop, and who you like to call William, not Bill, William Sanders, who is one of the most phenomenal dudes I ever met. Both of them are, honestly. I love them both. I'm glad to happily have them in my fucking Rolodex. They're just phenomenal individuals.
Yep.
But this is where you met them. So they came on my podcast and they sang the highest praises for you. Like I'm talking like on and off camera. Not only do they love you, they just thank you for what you've built for them in mentoring them. So I'd like to know what they mean to you from your perspective.
Everybody means something to me. Those two are special. And Mike, I met Mike when I needed to meet Mike the most. And I know he has his story about when we met. And my story isn't much different, but I'll tell it anyway. I met Mike in the late fall, like December of 2017. And I was looking for somebody. We were getting busy. And he showed up. I think he might have sent an email. I might have had a post out or something. And he showed up, and immediately when I met him, I'm like, I like this guy. He's bullish. He's like, he talks food. He's got the look. He's got the attitude. And
He's got that moxie.
He's got the moxie. He's got the mojo, right? And I had just come off of a serious health crisis. In September, I had a complete breakdown. Emotionally, physically, mentally. I was hospitalized. I was a disaster.
Damn.
And it was a culmination of all of the things that had happened. Restaurants, the lack of dealing with my dad and his death. And it was just, it was being alone. And I was at a bad place, and it was bad. And mental health is so incredibly important, and I let it all slide. And I ended up in the shitter. I was in Mountainside Psychiatric Ward, and
really,
it was a disaster. They thought I was having a heart attack and a stroke simultaneously. It was rough. So when that happened, I actually couldn't go into the restaurant for a few weeks. Couldn't be near it. Like, just couldn't handle it. And when I finally got back into it, I got rid of a lot of people. And then month or two later, I met Mike, and he had his story and I had mine, and it was the perfect time for the universe, to bring us together, because he's a saving grace. Like, I don't know if I could have continued. I don't know if I ever told him that, but it was rough for me to get back in there, and I needed somebody that was strong like him. So, and then he did amazing things. Like, he really helped elevate everything we were doing, and he took a lot of stresses away. He helped me see things in a very different way. He has a different way of looking at things than I do, which is why another reason why we get along so well is we have two very different visions of things. But yeah, he came exactly when I needed him.
That's fucking beautiful. And there's nothing better than differing opinions, because in those differing opinions, you can recognize so much, not only about yourself, but about the person that has that other differing opinion. It's just, it's magical. It's hard to kind of describe in words.
Yeah.
But differing opinions are so important, more than anybody could ever imagine.
I remember when we started making pasta, and we started talking about a project like Mike's long before I had to make the decision to close Pig and Prince, and we were already kind of like mapping it out, if you will, talking about it and seeing what was needed and what we could do. And it was just by chance that things happened the way they did, where I got pushed out of there. So I told you about the place that he was involved with, and then he had to walk away, and we came full circle and we took it. So again, that place, I remember visiting that place when I was a kid as a deli, like going in there.
Wow.
When I was little, because I grew up on that side of Nutley. It just made sense. And from the day that we started that project till today, like I don't even know if he sees it, but the amount of growth in his process is unbelievable. Like, he can do things I could never even imagine trying to do. Like the pastas that he's making, the way that
sick, dude. I love that boy, bro.
He really is the fucking pasta wizard of not only New Jersey. I mean, he just does not get the credit.
He's the pasta savage, bro.
Really is. And I'm really looking forward to the future with him, because I think we're just at a pivotal point where it's going to go in a really great direction, and he deserves it, and I want it for him. And, and so fucking talented. You know, I can't even. I can make pasta. I do not have the. I am not. My these meat hooks I have. You know, he's so gentle with it. And
Them fucking guinea fingers, bro.
It's crazy. He's got those Nana hands. You know, just precise.
I'm gonna put something in perspective for you that maybe you didn't realize. So, Pig and Prince closes in 2019.
Yeah.
Right. Then Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop opens
September.
You know, shortly after. Yep. With Pig and Prince, you were open a couple of years past the stint that Passionné was open as a whole.
Right.
You know, the Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop and the timeline of your career really interests me because I kind of look at this whole thing in this grandiose format. I kind of lay out the timeline, right? And I don't know if you realize this, but it seemed like to me that with each establishment that you opened, you stepped down the mood a notch of each place that you opened. So you had Passionné, which was the highest of the high regarding, it was a high-end French dining cuisine, right? Then you end up opening after that Pig and Prince, which was a family-friendly environment with the nightlife sprinkled into it. With you had the bar aspect of the whole thing, but it still maintained that fine dining aspect when it comes to quality of cuisine, right, and stuff like that.
Right.
Then you escape that, and then you open Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop, which is essentially a deli with the homemade pasta aspect of it all.
Right.
So each business that you opened was a step down from the previous. Almost, I don't even want to call it a dumbing down, but it was more of a simplifying of everything. Now, the question that I have for you is, was that all methodical reasoning due to you learning through all those steps, learning what works and what will end up being the outcome of what you seek?
Right.
Or was it just all by chance that it all ended up working? Because now you have Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop. There's a drastic change that you had recently, which we'll talk about soon. But each business that you opened up essentially dumbed down from the previous in a simplified formation. Was that all by design, or was that all just by chance?
Right.
And happen?
I don't know if I would use dumb down as the term. I like to think of it as adapting, right? So
yeah, I guess that's the proper terminology. I didn't mean, you know what I mean? I didn't mean like literal.
So, Passionné was different, right? There wasn't a time of really fine dining restaurants. Montclair did not have many. There weren't, it was advantageous, to say the least. At 26 years old, to open a white tablecloth restaurant where we never in the history of it bought salt and pepper shakers. I mean, that was my arrogance, right? So there's a line between arrogance and confidence, right? You got to sit on that fence. You got to have one foot on both sides. I understood my arrogance in Passionné, and I didn't want to carry that with me to the next project. The food that we did at Pig and Prince was, people can call it whatever they want. Everything I do is rooted in French technique, right? It was just more grandioso. I had 40 seats at Pig and Prince. I had 300. I had 300 at Pig and Prince.
Yeah.
So you can't do for 300 what you can do for 40.
Of course.
So we made it more, we adapted. We adapted to the volume. We adapted to the environment, right? I knew that I needed 300 people in there. I couldn't just live on 40 people in a restaurant that size. I went from a rent of $3,000 to a rent to $13,500, bills got to get paid.
Well, that's what I meant. I guess the terminology I used was incorrect. I meant you adapted each step along the way,
Right,
according to your lifestyle and what you projected.
Right. Again, Passionné was fueled by arrogance. It was about me, right? And I did have good people, and I did encourage and teach, but it was about me. Pig and Prince is different. I made a conscious decision that it was not going to be about me. It was about the restaurant, right?
Gotcha.
I wanted to make sure that it was about Pig and Prince, not Mike Carrino's restaurant.
I gotcha.
And that was that. When it comes to the pasta shop, I had a very clean conversation with him that it was about him. And it wasn't about me at all. That was for him. I wanted him to be the lead on that, which he is, and he has built that brand. So when people ask, I'm very clear that is his, and it's his brand. He built that brand. I'm there to do whatever he needs to do to help guide or whatever.
Yeah.
But Mikey built that brand, and I'm very proud of him for that. So that M, when I see that, I think of him. And I want people to
think of him, not you.
I want them to think of the brand, but I want them to understand that when they're looking at that M, that it's not my M, that it's his M.
I gotcha. So speaking of Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop, that business as a whole recently took a drastic change that disgruntled a lot of people. You basically, in a nutshell, decided to close the sandwich side of the shop, only keep it open for pasta manufacturing, and once in a blue moon, do pop-ups recanting on your past, let's say, quote-unquote, hit sandwiches. What has that experience been like for you? Because there's been a lot of, I don't want to say blowback, but people have been disgruntled, but people also been happy at the same time. Yeah. What has that been like for you? And what was the ultimate decision making behind that? And do you think that it was the right decision rather?
Right. So Mike and I had discussed it obviously at length over time. And the goal going into that project was always pasta. Pasta was always the focus. It was always the real driving force conceptually behind that project. The deli was there as a default because it was a deli and we were both interested in it at the time. And what it was, when it was, I think was, again, the universe putting us in the right place when we needed to be. COVID came along. We adapted. We not only adapted, we were able to utilize what we had to support first responders. We created a whole charity called Heroes for Heroes, where we delivered sandwiches to police, firemen, EMS, in all the surrounding communities, Nutley, Belleville, Bloomfield, Clifton, Newark, Harrison, Passaic, all of them.
Noble task, by the way.
We wanted to make sure hospitals as well, Salvation Army, all sorts of things, all the things that are dear to me as well.
Yeah.
So because I am such a charitable background, I'm always involved in something. It was the right thing to do. And we had the ability, we had the resources. We come out of COVID, the world starts to right its path somewhat. And we realize it's really expensive and it's only getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And it's taking away from the focus of what the concept really was, which was pasta, which is he has been growing and garnering more attention, garnering more customers on a wholesale level. So we made a decision that for the benefit financially, in order for us to eventually take the very next step, we have to focus on just that, which is where we went with that.
Wow.
Which is what landed us where we are now, where he is. Like, again, he's the bread and the butter behind that. He's the one who's making the pasta. So,
Yeah.
but that's how we got there.
I mean, as fucked up as it may sound to the outside, viewer, listener, or person that loves, supporting your brand, I kind of agree with the decision that was made financially, business wise. It's a way to catapult your business forward. And I think it's the conscious decision that was made. And it's good. It's going to grow your business as a pasta manufacturer.
Right.
And I think it could only have the potential to grow in a positive way.
Right.
And what's cool is that the people that love the sandwiches are still going to be able to get them, like me, once in a while.
Right.
But who wants something accessible every day? See, I'm a collector.
Right.
I collect toys. I collect arcade machines. You're
Right.
sitting around them.
Yep.
You can see in the sky cam all the arcade machines. I love that shit.
Right.
So me personally, it's okay. Because when Mike or you throws on the Instagram a new sandwich or an old sandwich that's familiar to us that we love, cool, I'm going to come, I'm going to buy, I'm going to support, I'm going to buy 3-4 sandwiches for me and the family.
Right.
And it's cool. And it makes you appreciate and love the sandwich more than if it was readily available every day.
Right.
So I think it kind of kills, even though some people are going to be mad, they're going to be disgruntled, I think it kills two birds with one stone. I think it's good.
Yeah.
So
It keeps it alive.
yeah, it keeps it funky.
Yeah.
It keeps it good. So one thing that is strange to me that I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
This is what I told you earlier. I have a bone to pick with you, and I gotta talk about it. Presently, something that's a bit of a shock to me. While you were doing the transition from Pig and Prince to Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop, you had a couple of stints with, country clubs. You were doing a couple of things, here and there. But currently, right now, in the present day, we all know you own Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop, but you work at the Palace at Somerset Park.
Correct.
So not only am I curious what the fuck you're doing there, but why in the world would you stop cooking? And while marinating on the subject, what do you personally think that that's doing to your soul?
When I closed Pig and Prince and we decided to do the project of Mike's pre-COVID, I was, I don't know if contract is the word. I was in talks with opening a restaurant with a restaurant group in Jersey.
Okay.
And I had a couple friends that were recruited as chefs, and they were already in it. And at the time, they were singing its praises. So this restaurant group was gobbling up the best of the best. And I thought, okay, I need some time to digest what just happened with Pig and Prince and maybe step into something that is not all on my shoulders. So Mike and I were in the very beginning in an agreement. He was going to run the shop and I was just going to be there, going to oversee everything with him. COVID hit, that fell apart. So now I'm kind of left with egg on my face because that was my plan. Financially, like we have a startup, small business, can't support two big, salaries. So that's when the country club came along. So I'd never done a country club before. I never worked in one. I've worked in hotels. I've worked in restaurants. I've worked a lot of different kinds of places. So I jumped on it. I was recommended by another chef. And I was able to bring along a lot of my crew from Pig because they were unemployed now as well. So it was an experience. It was an interesting experience. I can't say I hated it because I didn't. Country club was pretty cool. It started to weigh on me because there's a lot of influence in country clubs from membership, which I knew going into it, but it got really bad. And I saw writing on the wall. Country clubs also go through chefs like water. They'll turn out chefs every year or two. So to not be in that position, I was offered something and I jumped at it because it was different. I'd never worked in a place like that. It's a very different position. And I can say that I'm learning different things. Maybe not things that I love to be learning, but I think will benefit me in the future. What do I mean? I'm a very generous person. I'm generous with knowledge. I'm trying to be generous with money when I can be. That doesn't always lend to a healthy bottom line. So what I'm learning now is how to really tighten screws and pinch people as tight as I can go.
Okay.
It's something I've never been taught before. Something I've never been tasked with before because it's always been me. So I always said that whatever situation I'm in, I learn something. You either win or you learn, right? You never lose. The country club served a great purpose to me because I was able to spend 3 years with one of my best friends experimenting with barbecue. So we were able to do something there under the radar that's going to come about in the future, not on my dime.
Really?
Really. So, there's always a method to my madness.
Always.
I never do anything a little bit, right? And I also don't give away the farm. So people can look at it as you rot in a country club for 3 years. I can look at it as I created a concept in 3 years that you're going to see one day that's going to blow the shit out of anything you've ever seen.
You were building the gemstones that's going to carry out later on in life.
Simultaneously, I'm employing at a very good rate, mind you, people that have done a lot for me in the past. And now I bring them to this place. Country clubs pay a lot more. So you have cooks and they're making here, come with me. I'm going to get you 30, 40% more. You're going to live.
It's that much more, really?
Yeah.
So country clubs generally, generally pay a higher wage.
Because they expect more out of you, right? So it's, when you're on season, you're always there, right? When you're off season, you get time off. So the benefits outweigh the negatives, right? And I really, really liked that club. If I was a rich man, I would love to join that club. There's a lot of history behind that club, too, that I was at. I was at Essex County, which is the oldest country club in New Jersey.
West Orange or no?
Yeah. Yep. It's a great club. Great. One of the top 10 courses in the country. Amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, I did a stint there. But again, simultaneously, developing, modifying, barbecue. So now I have that.
Really?
Ready to go.
Barbecue?
Lived in Virginia for a bunch of years, remember? So barbecue is really big to me. Because
you're making the hair stand up, dude, right now.
Chesapeake style barbecue in New Jersey. Give me some time, right? So same thing. I'm enjoying it for what it is currently. I'm learning, right? A different perspective. It's a different animal. I can't be focused on food in a place like that because of my moral compass. So I have to take it for what it's worth from an administrative perspective. I'm a director there. So I have a lot of responsibility on this thing. I got, if there's 110 people in that building, 90 of them are under me.
Wow.
So
No, that makes perfect sense.
The
But
GM is a good friend of mine. Like we go
Yeah.
back to the hotels back in my early cooking days. This is not why I'm there, but it's how the conversation got started. It was because, we go back 25 years.
what's odd to me in my observation and research into your career, none of this stuff surprises me. It just shocks me a little bit because you're totally not cooking anymore, which is weird. But given what you just said to me, all of this, and it doesn't surprise me either, everything that you do in life is very methodical. It all has a science behind it. So it's nothing short of amazing to me that there is a reason why you're doing what you're doing and not cooking at the time being.
What sandwich did you like the most at the sandwich shop?
That's a great question.
There's no right or wrong answer. Just what's your top two?
I haven't had all of them.
Okay.
Gotta be honest.
But the ones that you really liked.
But I really love the one with the vodka sauce and I'm not pronouncing it, the andouille.
Andouille. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite.
I make the best andouille.
Do you? Oh my God. Well, you never made it for me.
We'll change that. So, if you can have it every single day and you ate it every single day, it wouldn't be that special anymore, right?
Of course. I guess nothing
So
is
if you
if
wait-
you had every day.
So if you wait a few months or a year and then someone presents it to you, you're going to get excited.
Oh, yeah. I love andouille, bro. I love that shit. That stuff's like magical to me.
One of the things that I've learned is patience is a virtue. And I never had it before. And now that I do, just wait.
Listen, I'm very good at that. It's weird because I'm kind of a person that has no patience, but has it at the same time.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense to you. With certain things, I have patience.
Mm-hmm.
With certain things, I don't. But if you're like telling me and assuring me, I could wait 10 years because I know it's going to make me have an orgasm
Right.
to a level that I never had before. And I'm all about having orgasms. That makes sense to you. Pause.
I think it's all about adaptation and understanding. I have the roast chicken theory, right? So the roast chicken theory, I think I told you this.
Oh, when I first met you, you told me this, and I said, when we record, you gotta say this.
So the roast chicken theory is anytime you see a food magazine that has a roast chicken on it, it means there's a dead trend, right? It means there's no trend. So they revert back to something that's familiar, simple, and inviting. Because everybody's going to look at a roast chicken and be like, ooh, it's a roast chicken. And they're going to be yummy. So that's my theory.
Yeah.
We're in a roast chicken moment. Because what I'm seeing is confusion. Right? There has to be some sort of, it's got to get reeled in, just in general. Right? It's like, I don't know what's going on out there anymore. And I'm looking and I'm watching and for a moment I felt disconnected, but at the same time I'm feeling grateful that I'm disconnected because I want to be a part of that right now. When I do want to be a part of it, I'm not going to come in quietly. Does that make sense?
Dude, I totally understand what you're saying. Wow. You're waiting for that right moment to pounce.
Right. And now I have patience now. And I have knowledge. And my knowledge is only growing.
Wow.
And as that happens, I still sit at home and draw my pictures. And I still sit and I think about it. And I run numbers. And I run a budget in my head without a piece of paper. And I'll just do a budget in my head just for fun.
Of your ideas.
Yeah. I'll budget out an entire restaurant in my head watching TV. I won't be paying attention to what's on the TV. I'll just be staring at it, running numbers through my head on what can work. Can that work? How is that going to work? How much does that cost? What's the selling price on that? What's the profitability on that? What's my labor cost? What's my food cost? What's my overhead? What's my fixed cost?
And right now you're hitting a bunch of no's, but one day you're going to hit a yes.
I'm not saying I'm hitting no's. I'm not found the right one. So yeah, this could work, and that can work, and this can work. How much do I need to do that? Is that really the one? But when it's the one, then I'll drop. I'll pull my apron string.
I love the pulling the apron string is the most important part of this entire podcast, because we've sat here and talked about many stories, many trials, many tribulations, but all the pivotal moments in your career required a pulling of an apron string.
Yep.
I wish I could somehow take the act of pulling an apron string and embody it and encapsulate it in a moment, an idea, a phrase, because I think it's so important. The pulling of the apron string needs to be some sort of, in a way, bottled. And I'm not gonna sleep tonight until I figure out how we can bottle that action.
It's like the culinary equivalent to a mic drop, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. But you and I have to figure out collectively how we can encompass that apron string pulling to some sort of symbolic, euphoric essence, because I want to be a part of displaying said action.
I mean, I think there's a lot of emotion wrapped up into a gesture like that. You know, there's anger. I think there's hate. I think there's a certain sense of relief, reverence. A lot goes into something like that.
I think you and I collectively can somehow figure out a way to swiftly move that, cover that, embody that in some sort of one swift move, swift action, swift symbolic artistic depiction. Because I think it needs to be displayed where you could look at it and you'd be like, oh, that's what that means. It's a tough task, but I love tough tasks, as I know you do.
Yeah.
You love that. Well, one thing about you that I find super interesting, right? Super, super interesting is you by nature, to my observation, is you're a very reserved individual as far as like your display to the masses. You're reserved, you're quiet, you keep kind of to yourself. Even so much as your Instagram is private. It's a private account. If you don't know you, if people don't know you, you're not going to accept them. You're reserved in the way you operate, right? In your future endeavors, stuff like that.
And I'm not giving away the fun.
Yes.
And it goes with all aspects of life. I've taken that to everything. Like I don't want to be recognized. I don't need it. The only thing I care about is what my kids think about me. That's it.
Wow.
That's all that matters to me. Be a good person.
Which is beautiful, but what's funny is like me observing you, I understand that you don't need anybody's, but you know your self-worth.
Yeah.
You do know your self-worth. You know that you got this champ de rôtisseur, all this bullshit that you got. It's not even bullshit. It's phenomenal stuff. You have all these accolades. You've worked under all these chefs. You have all these accomplishments. You know your self-worth. And you know you deserve the accolades. But it's funny because you almost at the same time don't want to be acknowledged for them, but you also do at the same time, which is very funny to me, because that's why you have your Instagram private, because you don't want anybody to be all up in your shit. Like you said, Maynard reposts something that you and you get all this onslaught of all this bullshit. You don't want nothing to do with it.
Delete.
But you also know what you're worth. So you do kind of want to be recognized, but you don't at the same time. It's kind of like a polarizing effect. Like a magnetism, like a polarizing magnetism where, you know, when you put those two magnets together and they just don't want to be near each other.
The only recognition I would ever want is people patronizing my establishments. So if you want to recognize what I do and what I've done, and I have another restaurant, come and eat. Allow me to invite you into my home, essentially my home. You know, some of the things we didn't cover is the amount of people I've thrown out of my restaurants. Right?
Really?
Yeah. The illustrious 6 at Passionné alone.
Tell me, illustrious 6?
That's like
what does that mean?
6 different tables I've pitched out. Because like I was going to say is you're coming into my home. I spend more time in here than I do in my own home. This is my home. You're my guest. If you come into my home and you act like an asshole, I'm going to ask you to leave. Should be no different in my restaurant. So I've pitched people out of both restaurants multiple times. I want you to come and I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to allow yourself to enjoy something different maybe, or to allow yourself to enjoy something familiar. Either or. That's the recognition that I look forward to, is touching people. I can touch people with the food that I cook. And I can touch their lives with it, and I'm good at it. And I'm not really good at much else. So I've worked on this talent that I have, and I don't know if it's a gift, but I want to share it with people. That's, I was on a path. I was on a path where I thought I can work my way to a Michelin star. I said, what's it all worth? What's it all worth at the end of the day? Nothing. Because ultimately you have people, and Marco says this, you have people that have less experience than you judging you what you do. So what's it all worth? Nothing. And that's the way I look at it now. And I'm not putting anything down or anyone down or my industry down. I love what I do. I really, really love cooking. And may not be doing it at the moment. I'm always doing it in my head, And the future is bright. It always is. I have to just look at everything and be grateful for what I have right now. And every now and then I got to stop. I just did it the other day. I just had to stop and I had to really understand how grateful I am for what I do have and how many times I've had to start over. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And, to reinvent what you're doing and to change gears in what you're doing. It's a difficult thing, but I'm a different chef than I started out to be. And, awards and write-ups and, it's nice. Doesn't pay the bills. And relationships with customers, relationships with associates and personal connections with farmers and, creameries and, cattlemen and pig farmers. And that's what's important. I don't have the writer from the New York Times calling me randomly saying, how you doing? But Lou calls me all the time. I could not see Lou for years and he'll still call me or text me like, how you doing? Just want to say hi. Miss you. That's important. That's life. That's what life's about. Those kind of connections. And I'd rather sit at a farm dinner with a bunch of farm guys and girls and just talk shop and go to any foo-foo restaurant and be, pretend like I'm something that I'm not.
Let me ask you this, man. I know you have 2 kids.
Yep.
You got a boy, you got a girl.
Yep.
Who you love very much. During this whole process of you owning all these restaurants, learning your craft, all this stuff requires a lot of work from you, requires a lot of work from, everybody else letting you work by, self-acceptance. It's a lot of work. How were you able throughout this whole process of you going to the CIA, working at these low-level restaurants, high-level restaurants, opening your own? I mean, you had quite a long journey that we covered over these past 3.5 hours that we've sat here, tonight. How do you balance that to be able to be there for your kids, to be able to be there for your significant other, whatever the case may be? It's, the restaurant industry and the mental health of the restaurant industry is insane. And as I've mentioned in many podcasts that I've had with Bill, with Mike, anybody that was a chef, mental health is so important, especially in the craft that you are in. You have to really tap into it, tap into yourself, tap into everything, because it's a taxing environment being in the restaurant industry against the people that you love, that are around you, that are your parent, even your parents. Like, it's a very tough, it's a tangled web that you all weave. How are you able to navigate that and be able to distribute all the love that's required to your seeds, to your significant others, etc.?
I wasn't. I failed at that. It's tough. It demands a lot of you, and if you don't know how to balance things, which I wasn't great at, it affects people, and it affects me, the individual, and it was a combination of a lot of things, of perfectionism and working harder, not smarter, and not focusing on balance. It leads down the path of exactly where I went, which is why now I try to preach things through my experiences to not have someone end up strapped to a rubber mattress, because I don't want to see anybody go there, or worse. Along the way, we've lost people, whether it was from substance abuse or from, suicide, or I've seen it all. I've seen them go down, and it started very young in my career, very young. I remember the first time I lost a friend. I was 22, and my chef was about 10 years older than me, and I told him what happened, and he said to me, "You can lose 10 friends in 10 years." He goes, "It's just the nature of the beast." Sure as shit. I did. Whatever industry it was in, but being chef and being in this industry is tough, and it'll beat you to your knees, and it'll hold your head down underwater. And it did. But coming back from that rebirth, you're able to look at it, hindsight. You're able to correct it. So balance is important. The things I do now, I have boundaries. My kids, time with my kids, that's number one. I don't care what it costs me. If it costs me a job, it costs me a job. It's just a job. There's other jobs. There's other things. So, the short answer is I wasn't good at it. I didn't do well. I didn't do well at all. And I paid the ultimate price. But I didn't lose. I learned. Right? So now I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I was able to come out on the other side and not completely lose myself. So it's rough.
Yeah.
But it's doable. And it's funny because when I was a younger chef, when I was working in Manhattan, I met Eric Repair once. And I met him through another chef who introduced us. And I was, like I said, I don't really get starstruck, but I was in awe. I was in awe of, I don't know if you know who he is. Eric Repair is the chef of Le Bernardin, one of the top chefs in the world.
Oh, yeah. That restaurant is top notch.
I was young. I was 23, 24 years old. We were having a conversation. And I don't exactly know how we got to this, but he had said to me, you can never explain to someone how good something is. They need to touch it, taste it, feel it. He said, I can't explain to you how good a dish is. You have to give it to someone.
Totally.
And everything requires balance. He's a Buddhist.
Oh, is he?
Yes. And that was a big thing in what we were talking about. And I should have listened more. But I was young and I was arrogant and I was dumb and I was, but he knew. I know. Now, that's what's important is balance. Balance is important. And I, draw those lines in the sand and I make those boundaries. And I'm still not great at it. There's still times where it's, I'm required to do something that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Whether it's work or whatnot. And it pisses me off and it makes me very upset. And it makes me think, well, what the fuck am I doing? Just answering to anybody. When if it was just me, I would make the decision to not do that and go and see my daughter play softball or watch my son play baseball. So,
yeah, but it's tough. I mean, especially in the industry that you're in, it's very demanding. And the nighttime is the time when you shine. Nobody goes to a fucking restaurant at fucking 8 in the morning. You know? So that's the unfortunate reality of the restaurant industry and the industry that you're so good at. It's a nighttime thing. So you miss out on a lot of baseball games, softball games, wrestling matches. It's fucking hard. I kind of battle with that myself. I'm a railroad conductor, so I could work mornings if I want, but my wife works mornings. So it's like, what do I do?
Right.
So I choose to work the nighttime. I could have the morning with my kid, then I gotta. It's a balance that you're battling with, and it sucks. I think that I should be there at night with my kid because I could see him wanting it. I could see him wanting like to be put to sleep by me, and this and that. But I can't. I got to. It's like it's a juggling act. Right. So you have to. The main thing is, I would presume is that, especially in the industry you're in, if you're going to get involved in an intimate relationship with somebody that is going to get intimate with you while you're involved in this type of industry, is they have to have an understanding of what entails of said industry. Because the railroad industry, the restaurant industry, they're not the same, but they kind of demand the same kind of hours. You have to have an understanding.
Yeah, agreed. But I think it also falls down on the individual, meaning me. Like, I take the responsibility for the time. I take the responsibility for the obsession with what I did. And I've learned from it. And, I'm sitting here at 47, 30 years after I started. And if my 24-year-old self was sitting over there, he might smack me in the back of the head, but I'm going to punch him in the dick because you're wrong and I'm right. And you're not going to know that for another 23 years. But listen to me. And that's why I try to encourage younger. I don't try to discourage them from the industry. I try to encourage them to enter the industry in the right way. The industry itself has to change. And we could go on for another 10 hours about this.
Yeah.
But the industry itself has to change. Period. And
I don't think
too many people have been saying it for too long, and I'm one of them, and I'm guilty of that. But that's something else entirely. Because
I don't think it ever will, unfortunately. It just doesn't seem like it would ever happen.
I may not be the one to make that, but I can only focus on me and what I'm doing and what I choose to do and where I choose to be.
Well, listen, before we exit, I have a question or two that I got to ask you. Since I became friendly with you, since I followed your social media, which is private again, I started to see that you posted a rabbit every so often.
Yeah. Rabbit. Today's June 1st. Rabbit.
Isn't that so weird that we're recording today on the 1st? It's like almost serendipitous.
I was going to say.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I first noticed that, I had to ask you. I remember, I never forget, I messaged you on Instagram. I said, what does rabbit mean?
And what did I say?
And then I forget exactly what you said. Rabbit is what rabbit is.
What is rabbit is what rabbit is.
That's it. Yeah. So I Googled rabbit.
Right.
And I don't remember exactly what I read, But I started to notice that it's something about the first of every month.
Correct.
So I went back to your Instagram and I looked at every time you posted a rabbit, which is your profile picture is a rabbit.
Well, it's a kid in a rabbit mask. Yeah.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
It looked like Donnie Darko to me.
I don't know. I pulled it off. It was just a cool picture.
So I looked, and every time you posted a rabbit was on the first
Yep.
of every month.
Yep.
So if you can elaborate for me,
Pretty
for
simple.
the viewers,
Yeah.
for the listener, what does that mean?
Like I said, I got really sick in September of 2017, and I have a good friend who's a chef, and he's a remarkable guy. His name's Eric Levine. He's a big, huge personality. Great guy, great chef, cancer survivor multiple times. Kind of always been very helpful with me spiritually and with self-sense.
Okay.
And when he found out that I was sick, I was actually out in Arizona after went through my whatever. I had called Maynard and I told him what happened. He said, "Come out here, just come out and hang out for a little bit." And I said, "I just need to kind of reset. So I'm not going to be a burden. Just let me sit on the deck and just stare at the mountains for 3 days." So I went out there and it was October 1st. So my friend Eric called me and we were talking and he said, "Rabbit, rabbit, brother." And I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, "Rabbit, rabbit." He goes, "Look it up." He goes, "It means good health, good fortune, and longevity." So I did. And I spent like half a day just when you did reading about it. It's an old English adage. Actually, rabbit, 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 3 of them in a row. Or white rabbit was another rendition of it. But you would be a greeting that you would say to someone on the first of the month for those purposes, to wish them well, to wish them good health, good fortune, longevity, and things like that. And the fact that, where I was and who was saying it to me and what had just happened, and he had never said it to me before, it just resonated and I just ran with it. And that's what it means to me.
Rabbit, rabbit.
Rabbit, rabbit.
I got to tell you, every time I see a rabbit now, I think of you. I think of you. I think of the first of the month. And it just feels good. I don't know if that's supposed to mean something, but it feels good.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So that's rabbit, rabbit.
There's another thing that regarding your social media that also resonated with me is V.
V?
From V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
You
Well,
post that face.
It's not V. So that face is a mask of a person.
Yeah.
You know who that person is?
I've read about it before, but I couldn't pull it out of my fucking
His name is
cerebral cortex. Right now.
Guy Fawkes. So Guy Fawkes was he tried to bomb Parliament. He was a revolutionist. And he was caught and executed. So the purpose behind the mask in V for Vendetta was he was a revolutionist. And I'm sure you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
a long time ago.
Ultimately, he blew up Parliament, but that was just, coincidental to what he was trying to prove. And he was trying to be a revolutionist. So the Guy Fawkes mask is the likeliness of the man, Guy Fawkes.
So what does that mean to you? And why is it so significant?
So there's a line in that movie. It says, "A revolution without dancing is not a revolution." And I always took it as a revolution without cooking is not a revolution. So just like anything, there always needs to be rebirth. There always needs to be adaptations. There always needs to be change. To me, every New Year's, I would wear that mask because we would always have masquerade parties at Pig and Prince. And to me, the New Year is always a nuance. It's a revolution. It's a new year. So I have one of those masks. And the 5th of November is Guy Fawkes Day. Remember, the 5th of November.
Yes.
The gunpowder, treason, and plot. And I see of no reason why the gunpowder and treason should ever be forgotten. So it's just It's a remnant of, for me, what it means to me is rebirth, revolution, change, down with the system, damn the man, save the empire, kind of shit. Always go against the grain.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really do love it.
Again,
I just had to ask because
that's
it peaked out to me when I scanned your Instagram, which is private.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
Your
I was
friend.
like I felt special. I felt like I was in the club. I'm like, oh, he's giving me access to his ethos, if you will.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's what that means. Yeah.
Wow.
Again, I'm a little fucked up. So
I disagree.
I have little things that
I disagree.
Everything has purpose. Everything has meaning.
You're methodical.
Yeah, I mean, even though it might not make sense, a lot of times it doesn't make sense, especially with my cooks. And I've said this to all of them. I always encourage them when they're leaving to go do new things. I think it's great. And I always say, when you get it, call me. Just say, I get it. Oh, what do you mean? You get
Don't
it?
know.
Just tell me. You get it. And I get them. Chef, yeah. I got it. Cool. See you later. That's it.
That must be a great feeling.
It is, because I want them to get it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell them what it is. Again, it might sound,
No.
torturous.
They have to find themselves. They have to find it within themselves.
I have to find out that everything I was doing was for a reason.
It had purpose.
And when it all comes together, I can't hold, nobody ever held my hand to do anything. Nobody ever took me by the arm and said, let me show you. I went and I fought and I scratched for everything I had. I went and I stood in the corner to learn how to do something. I went and I asked to be taught how to do something. And I asked for everything because nobody was ever given it to me. Nobody cares. So I took it.
Yeah.
Tell me I can. I'll show you I can. I took it. Everything.
It's beautiful.
And I feel like one of the one things that was gifted to me was Bob passed away like a year, maybe 2 after my dad. He was young. He was very young. My dad was 52, so Bob was only 50 when he died. Or maybe he was 52, but he died 2 years later. Anyway. Someone told me once, it was one of my restaurant managers, Jason, told me that when I would come into the parking lot, everyone's ass would pucker up, my air quotes, right? Because they knew I was there before I came in the building. To me, that meant so much because I felt like it was like that connection with Bob completed.
Yeah. No, I completely understand what you mean.
That I earned it. So in terms of recognition, don't care. If I can be sensed, from that level, that's all I need.
That whole moment came full circle from you, from when you were able to recognize him walk in the building. Yep. Your spirituality would recognize him. Your hair would stand up.
Yeah.
You were able to tell the staff, you said, I want to have that impact. Mm-hmm. And that impact came. And you were able to get that recognition.
So I'll take that as a gift from Bob.
I want to say, I don't know, Bob, rest in peace. Rest in peace to Bob.
I'll send you a picture of him. I got one picture with me.
I'd love a picture.
Yeah,
please. I'd love it. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This was I think that I need to repeat this someday. We need to have another return episode with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You fulfilled a void in my life.
I appreciate that.
That makes sense to you.
Thank you. That means a lot.
You really did.
Thanks.
You filled a void in my life that I needed. Now, I'd say to plug your socials at this point.
I don't need it.
But you're not going to add anybody anyway.
Plug Mike. Plug the shop.
All right.
The pasta shop.
So at Mike's Pasta and Sandwich Shop,
Right.
SHOPPE, right?
Right?
On Instagram, you'll find it. Google it. Fucking Google it.
Google it.
Google it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I love you. You're an absolute gemstone.
In the rough.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.